Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and I wanted to say just a few things before we jump into the episode proper. First things first, this is a spoiler cast, so this does talk about the show at length. So if you're not interested in hearing a discussion about Code Geass, or if you don't want to get spoiled or anything like that, don't worry, the next episode we'll come back to the regular format. This is just going to be a thing that we do once in a while. The next one will probably be on Naoki Urasawa's Monster, and that won't be for a while. So don't worry, like I said, next episode, back to the normal format. I also wanted to tell you guys that the audio for this one is not going to be quite as good as it normally is. Normally, we all record ourselves, and that retains the audio quality. But for this one, because we had a guest, the method of recording had to be changed. And that unfortunately did have a negative impact on the quality. Don't worry, it's not atrocious or anything. You'll still be able to understand what everyone is saying, but certain audio issues that normally would have been squashed are going to be present in this one. I tried the best I could to reduce the issues, but just letting you know ahead of time. Again, it's not terrible. You'll still be able to understand everyone, but just wanted to get that out. Another thing I want to say is that this was a sentiment that I think I revealed much too late in the recording, but just that the episode's going to be predominantly negative. Myself and the others in the discussion did not really like the show. And this is a show that has a lot of fans, a lot of people that genuinely love this show. And I think I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that it's just our opinions, and that, we don't look down on anyone for liking the show. We make fun of the show a lot, but that's just towards the show. It's not towards anyone that likes the show. We don't think lesser of anyone that thinks it's a good show. We just don't like it, and that's all there is to it. It's just different opinion, and I hope that, nobody gets their feelings hurt. I'm not trying to be condescending when I say that. I'm really not. I genuinely don't want to bum anyone out with this. If you think listening to people rag on a show that you like for a couple hours is going to bum you out, please don't listen to it, because that's pretty much what we do. We just make fun of the show the whole time. We talk about what we don't like about it. But anyways, with all that out of the way, I hope you enjoy the episode. Whether you're a fan or not, or you've never heard of the show, or you just want to hear us rag on the show for a couple hours, I sincerely hope that you enjoy. Hello everyone, and welcome to this very special episode of the Essays and Espresso podcast. This is going to be the Code Geass spoiler cast, where we are going to be joined by my good friend Dom. How are you doing, Dom?
Who do you think you are, dragging me out of my peaceful slumber to talk about this shitty show? What's the matter with you?
Well, I mean, you and I need to complete the American Dream Team as we go up to Acer and Boken, the Euro trash.
Yeah.
Acer isn't even in the EU. I'm not letting that count.
Excuse me. My country has been in Europe longer than Germany has been around.
Ooh.
Don't ruin my joke.
The EU faction is already divided. I'm sorry.
So, the first half of this is going to be talking about Season 1. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to talk about Season 2. So, just letting you guys know, if you are not interested at all, just wait for the next episode, and we'll go back to our normal schedule. We'll go back to the normal format. But this episode is different. It's time to slay the beast that is Code Geass. So
well, actually, before it's time to do that, it's time to air out some dirty laundry, I think. So
okay, go ahead.
Well, yeah. Well, we should do that. Because if you'll recall, it was my idea that we should all get together and watch Code Geass. Do you remember?
Yes, this was your idea, and I will never forgive you for that.
Do you remember the preconditions we set for watching Code Geass?
We'd also watch Monster together.
So the contract was written. Yeah, we wrote it on Discord. It was written such that we would all watch Code Geass together, and then we would all watch Monster together. And when I pitched that contract, my thinking was, I'm not actually going to watch Code Geass. I'm just going to make you watch it because you guys made fun of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. But then,
What?
But then I watched the first episode and I loved it, and I kept watching, and I was in heaven. It was like being a child again.
And then you watched it twice.
Yeah,
The whole fucking show.
I had to watch the Japanese version.
Wait, you actually saw it twice?
Yeah, I
I
went
didn't know
through
this.
again. I double dipped.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
To be fair, the Japanese version is much better.
No,
I saw it
it's
in
not.
Japanese.
It is horrendously worse.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I need to hear. Okay. I think I know where you're going with this, but let me hear your reasoning.
Okay, number one, I think that the theatrical nature of the show lends itself a lot better to the cliched Funimation or Aniplex voice actors. That's number one. Number two, I'm pretty sure the dub cleaned up a few like little bits and bobs from the show. There's a moment where they get a bunch of mechs, and in the Japanese version, it's, oh, we got some mechs. But in the dub, he goes, oh, we got some mechs from the Indians for some reason, implying that Lelouch, oh, I got a message, implying that Lelouch was busy in India. I'm going to put my phone on silent. Okay.
I'm leaving this in, by the way. This is too good.
Well, this is my.
That's staying then.
What do you think? What did you think my reasoning was? Well, it's also
that the English dub is trash, and that makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah, kind of like with Golden Boy. Golden Boy sucks in Japanese, but Golden Boy is awesome in the dub because the dub is so ridiculous and over the top and just stupid and bad that it elevates the show.
Yeah, that's true of Code Geass. It is so hammy in the dub that it just works.
Interesting. Okay.
We'll probably have to watch it again dubbed.
No.
No way. No way.
Okay. Well, we will.
I refuse.
We will be watching the movie, though.
No, we will not.
Oh.
Well, actually,
You know what? I'm not
far.
gonna lie. I kind of do want to watch the movie just to be like, okay, what bullshit are you gonna pull out this time?
Yeah.
And I also real quick about that movie, I just want to say this to all the people that told me I was stupid for saying that Lelouch died in the ending, because for years people were telling me, oh no, Lelouch is the one riding the carriage at the end with CC. Fuck you, this is canon. Lelouch dies and he's literally revived in the movie. Ha!
Well, Daniel. Technically, that's in an alternate timeline.
Oh, shut up. Just shut up.
It is. The recap movies changed events enough that it warranted an alternate timeline.
I still don't buy this BS that like he's the one riding the carriage with Cece at the end. Just because Cece says like she's talking to herself and she's like, right, Lelouch?
This is the season 2 conversation, by the way.
Yeah,
we're doing
it
season
is.
2 first.
It is. You're right. Let's bring it back to season 1.
Should we talk about what the show is actually about?
Actually, I wanted to first start with maybe talking about our history.
Let's talk about what it isn't about, because it's a lot of things.
No, I want to ask, what is all of our history with Code Geass before we watched it?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So, yeah, go ahead, Dom.
Guess I'll start is I never had seen it until recently. I'd heard of it. I always thought it was just called Code Geass, not really knowing how it was pronounced. So I just heard of this show. Kids in school were either calling it Geass or Geese, and I never really got a definitive pronunciation until recently. And I'd heard of it. It was popular. Heard it was like described as like Death Note meets Gundam or something like that. And because I wasn't really into anime at the time, I didn't really check it out. Just didn't seem like my thing, and I now realize I kind of dodged a bullet 11 or so years later.
All right, Book.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And then it came into my life again a few years ago when I met Dan. And then I was going over like a list of anime to watch, and I brought up Code Geass, and he was like, "Oh, I used to like that piece of shit."
I don't remember this. I did. But that sounds like me.
Yeah, that's kind of my history with it. Dan basically saying, "No, don't watch it. Like, don't listen to the hype. It's really worse than you would think." But then I volunteered to watch it with him recently, and here I am.
What about you, Boken?
I had barely heard of this show before. And this was the first time I watched it. Like, I just piled onto your and Ace's stupid bet. Because I was like, yeah, sure, it's for the podcast. Whatever.
How bad can it be?
Yeah. I mean, even while I was hating the show, I was looking forward to the discussion itself. So, yeah.
And Acer, what about you?
I watched it when I was younger, but this was a bit after the show released, and I loved it. And then you and I started doing some projects together sporadically, and we would every time we talked a bit about Code Geass, and every time I realized I don't actually like this show that much now that I think back. But now that I watched it again, I can say that it was better than I remembered.
Okay.
How about you, Daniel?
But for all the wrong reasons, right?
We'll get into that.
We'll see.
So I watched the show as it was airing, and I loved season 1 at the time. I was like, because I was a dumb, edgy teenager, and at the time, media criticism is not what it is today. So I didn't think critically about things at all. I was just like, oh, it's cool, I like it. Oh, it's boring, I don't like it. So that's just how I was when I was a teenager. But then over time, actually, even season 2 I didn't like at the time. Even like dumbass friggin' high school version of me was like, something's off about season 2. I don't like it. And then over the years, the more I reflected on the show, the more I was like, this show doesn't really make any sense, and it's pretty dumb. And I remember watching a few YouTube videos that like made me realize even more, like, oh wow, wait, this show has a lot of problems. And then rewatching it now, well, I guess we'll just get into that. So, Boken said we should talk about what the show is actually about. Code Geass is about Lelouch, who is this kind of exiled prince of sorts. His dad is Charles V. Britannia, who is the ruler of Britannia. Britannia is this world leader that just has pretty much dominated the world for all intents and purposes. They took over Japan and decided to call it Area 11, and there's a lot of bigotry going on because of that.
Even though there's no racial, what's the word here? The characters, you don't notice any difference between the Britannian characters and the Japanese characters.
Yeah.
They seem to be of the same ethnicity, which makes it really weird when they're sort of beating each other up, because I don't know which side is Which?
For the longest fucking time, I thought the people in Lelouch's school were all Japanese.
No, they're not. They're Britannians.
I was super confused.
Lelouch is the most Asian-looking character in the cast.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'd actually say Toto is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, fair enough.
But no, you make a fair point that like there's not really much of a visual distinction, and I think that has a lot to do with Clamp. Clamp are the women who came up with the character designs. They're known for Triple X Holic, Chobits, and Cardcaptor Sakura.
And X.
Triple X
and
what?
X. Triple X Holic.
Oh.
It's not a porn.
Could have fooled me.
See, this is what the podcast always is, Dom. It's me listening to these guys prattle on about some obscure Japanese media companies.
Might as well call this the Essays in Weebcast. So, I mean...
And what more about Lelouch can you say? He's smart.
Or at least they try to make him smart.
Yeah.
Well,
They pretend he's smart.
Yeah, they pretend he's smart. We'll go with that.
He's very ethical. He's got a very
Shut the fuck up.
What?
he's got very deeply, like, his ethical bedrock is very sound, and he's not at all just a child who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. That's a joke, dear listener.
Yes. So basically, Lelouch gains the power of the Geass from Cece. She's like, "Here, have this," and he's like, "Whoa, I know kung fu." And then he actually what he actually gains is the ability to basically tell people what to do. But he can only tell them what to do once, and there's some weirdness that goes on with the rules regarding that. It's very limber, the way that the show treats the concept.
Yeah.
I like the way that Best Guy Ever described it. He says that what the Geass does is that it changes your brain state, so that it allows you to just like become a different person, essentially, in order to just complete this order. And Lelouch can tell you to do stuff like kill yourself, become my slave, go do jumping jacks for, it's just stuff like that.
There's a poor girl he ordered to create markings on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Just to see how long he could do it. And assumably, this is gonna keep doing that forever.
For the rest of her life.
And that's part of where he's actually smart. He tests out his power, right? Like he just commands this girl to every day at the same time go to that wall and make another marking.
Yeah, that's really fucked up though, because like,
Yeah.
what if she's like an 80-year-old woman? She's still like going to the wall, and the wall doesn't even exist anymore, and she's trying to make the marking.
Assumably, I would imagine the Geass wears off as soon as Lelouch dies, and also as soon as that wall is removed. I would imagine.
We're not sure.
Okay, and then the show is about Lelouch trying to take back Japan from the British Empire.
Well, that's what the show is technically about, but his actual motivation for doing so has more to do with wanting revenge for the death of his mother.
What do you mean? He just wants to make a nice life for Nunnally.
Yeah.
That too.
That
That too. He also just wants to make his sister happy.
Yeah.
What rebellion has to do that?
Could I sing a fuck about anyone on this planet Earth except for Nunnally?
What do you mean?
That's a good guy.
What are you talking about? Are you saying he's a shady character with dubious morals?
I'm saying he's a borderline sociopath.
Yes, he is. So that reminds me.
That is arguably the most generous use of borderline I have ever heard.
So that reminds me. So like the show plays very fast and loose with that concept, because early on in the show, Lelouch kills his half brother Clovis. This is like episode 2 or 3. I
It's
think it's
episode
It's
actually,
two.
episode 1. It's episode 1.
No, it's
Because-
episode
no.
2. I
It
just
was at
watched
the
Yeah, it's at the end. Yes.
end of episode 2.
2.
No. Are you sure?
Yes, I just watched
Yes.
Jason.
Are you sure?
Yes,
Yes,
I'm sure.
100%.
How?
At the
Oh,
end of
I have
episode
notes.
1, he
That's
gets
right.
here.
Episode
I have
1 ends
notes.
with him getting the power. You're
I
right.
have
Okay.
notes.
Keep going. Keep going.
So here's the thing, right? Lelouch doesn't the show does not convey in any way that Lelouch even registers that he killed his own half brother. Like he did it like he didn't even care. But then later on, as if to make the character more sympathetic, when he finds out that he inadvertently killed Shirley's father, he has this inner monologue where he is like, "Oh, it was hard enough killing Clovis. Now I'm responsible for Shirley's father." And it's like, what do you mean it was hard enough to kill Clovis? That was never conveyed at all throughout the entire show. You never showed any sympathy for what you did.
Yeah,
What are you
wait.
talking
There
about?
was a moment when Lelouch was in the bathroom or something, and he was almost vomited at the thought of at the memory. Don't you remember?
No, I don't.
When he had the flashback of killing Clovis, he almost vomited.
I don't remember that.
I do remember that too, and that sounds incredibly contrived.
Yeah. You'd
Like,
have
I-
to. You'd have to do
I'll
more
you
than-
know what? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I just don't remember it, and I'm just blanking out on that scene. But I literally do not recall that scene.
I
Yeah.
remember, since none of you remember it, it may be that he was imagining the scene. Keep talking. I'm gonna see and find out. It was never conveyed.
It just seems so out of nowhere to me.
Even if that scene is there, I think they need to do more than that to remind us that Lelouch feels guilt rather than just one scene of him nearly puking.
Maybe him having actual difficulties pulling the trigger.
Yeah, instead of
Yeah,
laughing and taunting.
In the moment, he's just bam, dead. It seems weird that in the moment he would be totally cool with it, and then afterwards he's like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
But that's far from the only evil thing Lelouch does.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he is responsible for the murder of many people, including Shirley's father.
yes.
And then when Shirley confronts him about it, he just changes her memories and then goes into this delusional rant about how his powers make him all alone in the world.
That part made me so mad because he didn't just change her memories. He made it so that she didn't remember who he was, which makes no sense. All that did was create more problems.
Yeah.
I get what he was doing in a certain extent. It's better if she forgot most of that stuff. But why couldn't you just tell her to forget the past couple of days? Why make her forget the entirety of his existence in her life? What?
But then she would still find out that Zero killed her father. I guess he couldn't make her forget that he's actually Zero.
She didn't know he was Zero at the time.
But she finds out, and that's why he has to act.
The way that she
you're
finds
right.
out is so
You're right.
ridiculous.
Mal tells
it's
her,
complete
right?
self-defense. And then he pretends like he's doing her a favor or something.
Yeah.
He's so fucking evil.
Nah.
The thing is, though, she did forget that he was Zero, but she had actually written a letter to herself or her diary or something. She had written something that Lelouch couldn't find that talked about Lelouch as Zero, and she found that after she had lost her memories.
Ah, that's right.
Man, the way she finds out he's Zero is so stupid.
Yeah.
Let's go into that. Are we going to talk about the Mao?
Yeah, this
There's so much to talk about. Oh my God.
this woman with silver hair, Valletta.
Valletta.
Valletta Newmeyer.
Yeah, for some reason decides I'm going to tell a civilian that this person could be Zero and that I'm not going to put her under any protection. I'm not going to have her under any surveillance or make sure she doesn't leave her house. I'm going to make sure she goes to the place where basically a war is going on, and maybe that'll draw him out. And I'm like, how irresponsible is this, and how
it's so pointless too. Like, if her idea was having Shirley follow Lelouch so that she could know what Lelouch is doing, why not have one of her soldiers do it, or just she herself do it? Why have Shirley do it if all you're gonna do is follow Lelouch to this base, this Black Knight base? Like, what?
I had completely forgotten.
and then when Lelouch is injured and like his mask falls off when he's inside of a mech, Shirley sees him, and then Valletta is there, and then Shirley shoots Valletta in the stomach, and she gets amnesia. How do you get amnesia from getting shot in your stomach?
Didn't they?
Hey, you don't know what kind of bullets those were. No, Lelouch couldn't change her memories. He already used his Geass on her.
What do you mean?
Lelouch couldn't have changed Valletta's memories.
No, I never said.
I said that.
Yeah, Bogan said that.
God, I just figured he did that.
No. At the very she's one of the first people that he used his Geass on. He wanted her mech.
Yeah, that's true. This is even dumber than I thought.
What really annoyed me was that Valletta, despite like some of her attire being kind of questionable, she was one of the only like dignified female characters. And then after that, they turn her into a fucking housewife. For most of season 1, it's like, how degrading. You turn this proud, strong military woman into a fucking housewife. They even have her naked, like when she wakes up from her amnesia.
And they have her as a teacher in season 2 in a bikini with everyone else.
Dude, that part made me so mad because she's literally she's basically naked in that lingerie in front of the student body. She's basically naked. Like, there's no arguing. Like, what school would be okay with that? What school would be like, yes, let's have one of our teachers flaunt their asshole like in front of the entire student body. That's totally
Only
okay.
in Great Britain.
God.
But yeah, the point is, I guess, that Code Geass is filled with these dumb contrivances and plot holes, and things need to happen now, and we are going to brute force it, and we do not care if it makes sense. That is the entire show. It happens over and over and over, and I've written down so many instances.
Give me one more example in season 1.
One more example?
Euphemia's death.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yes.
Hey, that's an unfair example.
I don't know. We don't have to get into that right now. That's like the highlight of the first season.
Oh, I want to get into it. That scene is an
I have
atomic bomb.
I have another one first, a smaller one.
Okay.
Remember Asa?
Yeah.
When they are on some kind of island, like Lelouch is there as Zero, and then the ground beneath him breaks out.
Yeah.
And he falls down into a secret military base right next to a prototype experimental mech.
Yes, I remember
that. For some reason, immediately starts. And he knows exactly how to fly that thing, and it has like these super weapons on board. And that's how he gets out of that situation.
Yes.
Not only that, but like, how the fuck does Lelouch know how to ride a mech in the first episode?
I don't know. That thing was a prototype that was super experimental. They say that literally right there.
It's never explained how Lelouch knows how to ride a mech. He just does.
Maybe it's like you learn to ride a car, you learn to ride a mech.
And that mech is so useful and convenient from that point on. And
Yes.
he just gets it. Like the ground beneath him is actually a hidden floor with an elevator. And at that moment goes down into the base. He didn't cause any of that.
Didn't
Just
he go into some cave to get it?
No.
Oh,
I don't remember
They
that.
are in that lab, and then for some reason, while he's on top, the elevator starts.
oh.
And then
Yeah,
he
but
gets out
like,
by jumping into the mech.
yeah,
So,
but like, how do you get him off the island otherwise, genius?
Why did he go to the island in the first place? Like, I still don't understand why that happened. Like, so what
Because-
happened in the episode, from what I remember, is Lelouch and Suzaku were fighting in a battlefield, and that's when he gave Suzaku the command, "Don't die." And then all of a sudden I'm probably blanking on details, but then all of a sudden they just seem to be on the fucking island.
No,
What is that island?
There's some light, some airship or something comes, and then they wake up on that island.
The
So-
no, well, it's explained, I think, in season 2 that V2 was behind them appearing on the island. It was
Okay.
him who sent them.
That's also very convenient.
Oh, you don't know his power.
I will fully admit that like there will be some details that I'll blank on just because this show does such a poor job of explaining itself that
Yeah.
like when it does, it's just like
And it's
What?
so much bombards you with fucking shit.
Oh, and the fan service. The fan service.
Yeah.
dude, the fan service in this show is fucking atrocious.
And before we get into fan service, I think another issue with like how we're blanking on some of these details, the show also just sometimes does a poor job of keeping you invested, because the more you go into the show, the more you're just watching it out of pragmatism, out of just pure like, yeah, we have to do this, and we try to stay invested, try to pay attention, but then I think me and Dan have just gone through entire episodes trying to figure out, okay, what did we watch? And I think we even had to go to the Code Geass wiki to say, like, okay, this is what happened.
Yeah, we had to do that for Charles's plan in season 2, and we'll get into that later because that plan, the way it was explained in the show, didn't seem to make much sense.
Oh, we'll get there.
We'll get there. So wait, so Ace, I want to go back to you, Acer, real quick, because like you have been ironically defending the show. So I just want to confirm, like, do you actually like enjoy the show for what it is, or do you enjoy it because you think it's dumb?
Well, look, I am not under any illusions that Code Geass is like this masterpiece of writing and characterization, and which has a lot of philosophical depth or anything like that. I'm fully aware of how stupid the show is, but I don't know for what reason. But it just works. Like even on a level beyond just it's so dumb, it works. Like at the end of season 2, when Lelouch was falling down the stairs, I was like, I like my heart rate is like, doot, doot. It was like, what? I felt something. So I don't know. I think I just have some residual investment in these characters from back when I was a stupid kid.
I wish I could enjoy this show, ironically, because 60 to 70% of season 1 is very boring.
Yeah.
Very, very hard to get through. Season 2 is 90% boring, or 85%.
I actually
Like,
disagree
Really?
with that.
I find season 2 to be a marked improvement on the
Yeah,
show.
me too. But
I don't
we're not at season
agree
2
with
yet.
that at all.
We can get
The
we
first
can
half
get that
of
up
season 2.
No,
The
no,
first
no,
half of
let's-
season
No, no, no,
2
no, no,
is
no,
so
no, no, no,
fucking
no. Let's stay with the format. Season 1
Yeah.
is still here.
Sure.
Let's get a bit into the politics of the show. Now, Sasaku believes that he can do more good by changing the system from within. Is Sasaku maybe not aware that authoritarian dictatorships don't really reform from within?
I don't think
Yeah.
the show has any grasp of politics whatsoever.
So, Dom had a wonderful metaphor for this. So go ahead, Dom, when we were watching it.
Basically, it'd be like in Nazi Germany if a Jewish man became a Nazi in hopes of changing Hitler's mind.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
Yeah. It's so dumb. Like, and Suzaku is so stupid in how he goes about it. Like, at one point, he was about to be...
Executed.
Yeah, executed. And Lelouch gave him an opportunity to be like, hey, we can work together, you know, and you don't have to die. And then Suzaku is just like, nah, I don't want to break the rules. And Lelouch is like, are you fucking stupid? You're going to die. And he's just like, oh, I'd rather die and follow the rules. But, like, his whole thing of wanting to change things from within can't happen if he's dead.
He says something in the latter half of season 2 to the effect of like, I don't like people. People are irresponsible and you can't rely on them. Systems are much preferable, and we should all abide by how like systems work or something like that. And I'm just sitting there, just you're a knowing pawn of this horrible regime. What the fuck are you doing? Oh.
Well, he kind of just forgets about that whole motivation. Like he keeps saying no, the means don't justify the ends, right?
Yeah.
And then I still never got the grasp of what he was actually trying to achieve.
He wanted
Meanwhile,
to free Japan.
Euphemia had much more of a plan to actually do something about the plight of the Japanese. And then Suzaku at some point just fires that warhead, that flare thing.
Mm.
And then out of guilt, he completely does a 180 and then decides, no, actually, the means do justify the ends. I'm going to team up with Lelouch now. I never got that character arc. I never got what he was actually trying to accomplish.
He was Jesus. Suzaku may not have been that well written.
You think?
You think?
He's probably the worst written character on the show, more than likely.
Oh, that's a tough call.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I think I have to agree.
If we're going by
He's such a
impact,
stupid cunt
yeah.
the whole time. He's such a stupid fucking moron. The whole fucking show. Like, the only time I liked him was when he was being a dick in season 2, and that's it. And that's more. It's mostly because I found it funny. Let's transition real quick, because I want to talk about some of the more overarching problems with the show.
Wait, can I just say a quick word on something?
Yeah.
Lelouch is strangely characterized as like this massive ladies' man, even though he is a completely unlikable asshole. Like,
And he keeps rejecting them.
yeah, but even like beyond rejecting them, why would any girl find this guy at all appealing?
He's hot. That's
Is
it.
he?
That's
Is he?
it.
His little noodle arms. Like they're
Oh,
actually.
They all look. That's the clamp design. They all have noodle arms.
No,
But they
no,
all
no,
are
no,
kinda
no, no, no,
hot.
no, 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 no. Actually, you can see in the background there are athletic students, like students who are clearly there playing sports.
Okay, but you also have to understand that this is a show made from a Japanese perspective, and what we consider conventionally attractive is not going to be the same for them.
Really?
Oh yeah, like they really like very very feminine looking boys.
That's true.
You should go to Japan, Daniel. Ha!
Yeah,
Got
but
him.
you know, even then, Lelouch is not more or less hot than Rivals or Suzaku.
Even his personality is just so unattractive. He's just
Okay, but did you know that there was literally a girl that approached Araki, the mangaka of JoJo, and she was talking about how she would love if Jotaro
I
Kujo
saw that.
would just like step on her
and she was
spit
like
on her face and call her worthless.
I saw that in
I'm not saying all Japanese girls are like that. I'm just saying, you know,
Okay.
everyone has their type.
I mean,
Araki, he definitely had to clean his floors when that girl left.
I mean, a lot of men nowadays are like that with a lot of tough looking females. They want them to step on them or beat the shit out of them, even if they're bitchy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like a tsundere, right?
No.
You know that's
No,
like
it's
when
not.
a girl doesn't like you and then she's angry,
It's
but
just
does like
muscle
you.
girl. I mean, look at the new Pokemon trainer. Oh, not the trainer, the one gym leader.
I don't play
Bea?
Pokemon. What is this?
She called Bayan? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, BEA.
B.
I mean, I don't know. She's a gym leader. I think she uses fighting or something because she looks like fighter.
Yeah, her name's Bea.
Okay.
This is an
Fine,
amazing.
whatever.
She's got
Code
she's
Geass
the one with
commentary.
the
Why are
She's
we
the
talking
one
about
that-
this?
anyways, getting off of fucking Pokemon. So, I think one of the really big issues with the show is its tone. So, this is, of course, me talking from the Japanese sub perspective. I based on what you've said, Acer, the dub does a better job of this. But like, even with that in mind, though, there are just certain parts where the tone doesn't work at all. So you have like the dub couldn't save stuff like this, where like in episode 2 of season 1, you have Lelouch in a mech in like a smoldering battlefield, where there's like death and murder, and then he's calling up, or now he's calling up. Shirley called him about something, and she's in her swimsuit along with other girls in the girls' locker room, and then the show literally hard cuts back and forth between Lelouch in the mech in a dire situation where his life is on the line to talking to these kawaii, like, freaking high school girls in their swimsuits. And you have this, like, this tonal dissonance where it's like, what do you want me to feel? Do you want me to be, like, feeling tense because Lelouch might die in this life or death situation, or do you want my dick hard looking at these anime girls? Like, what do you want from me, show? This doesn't make any sense.
And you can use that for good effect, like with Metal Gear Solid, where that juxtaposition sort of is the point, but Code Geass doesn't. Also, do you guys remember when Millie is talking to Shirley about how she's developed?
Yeah, that's the first episode.
And she literally
It's
just
no
grabbed her
introduction
tits.
to these characters. They're sitting there. Shirley's angry because Lelouch isn't returning her calls. And then the class president goes, "Oh, your tits have grown big." That's like the first conversation.
Gee.
And then I
The
think
president
from that
is
point,
so nice, but then she has just the mind of a dirty old man. That's like a literal line.
and I think after that scene, it cuts to Japanese people in the ghetto being shot at by mechs. But
Like,
yeah,
I feel like everything related to the school
Is
is
terrible.
like the show at its lowest point.
yeah. And you're right, it actively undercuts what the show is actually going for. Because it's trying to portray how the Japanese people are suffering and why they need to be freed. But then we have these cuts into this happy-go-lucky shit that goes nowhere, has the highest amount of useless, pointless characters. And it's just filler. Every time they go there, it's filler.
I feel like the intention, and you know, there's always a slippery slope when talking about intentions, but I feel like what they wanted to do was like, on one hand, here's the Britannians living this ridiculous life. You know, they're so happy and it's so flamboyant and it's so ridiculous compared
It's so
to
sheltered and yeah.
Yeah, compared to the Japanese that are living like shit. But I don't even think they do that right, because we don't really get that much of an insight on how the Japanese are being segregated, how they're being treated. Like, it's, you know, most of the time it's the Britannian ridiculous nonsense, and only sometimes do we actually get to see like how the Japanese are suffering. It's usually just like barely a few seconds worth of footage where we see, you know, the Japanese, like, you know, living in like shitty neighborhoods or whatever. Like, it's, or being downtrodden by the Britannians. Like it's
And even then, it's not like, look, it's bad, but like there are Japanese people like selling hot dogs and shit on the street. It's not nearly as bad as it could have been. Like this is pretty okay considering how horrible regimes have been in the past, how horrible regimes are even today. Britannians, their occupation of Japan, it's not that crazy. It's not that bad.
Yeah, you make a good, like, not to justify what the Britannians did.
No.
Yeah.
But like, are you guys paying attention to what's happening in Hong at this very moment? But
yeah, by comparison, it's like it's not even close.
And since we mentioned the focus on fan service and the fact that not enough time is spent developing like the oppression of the Japanese people, like seeing them living their daily lives in ghettos, I think we need to kind of talk about where this show's priorities are, because there's a lot of things that go underwritten or underdeveloped in the show or get sidelined into supplementary material because they want to focus on stuff like fan service. Because
that's more something for season 2 when we get to it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I'm saying that even in season 1, I think we could try to mention some parts that are kind of undercooked, and it's pretty clear where their priorities are in different areas.
Like
yeah, the priorities seem to be shoving tits in the screen.
It wasn't that excessive.
It was pretty excessive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's High School DxD excessive or High School of the Dead excessive. It's not that bad, right? Like, it's not like jiggling boobs like every screen. It's not that bad. But, like, for a show that's trying to take itself relatively seriously, you kind of undercut that seriousness when you have these characters doing all this ridiculous shit, like multiple episodes where it's just like a school festival, and the school festivals have these girls running around in bikinis and stuff. Like I remember specifically there was like one of those motivational poster type images online where it showed Valletta in the lingerie surrounded by schoolgirls in swimsuits. And on the bottom it said, "This is a show about terrorism." That's Code Geass.
Damn. So much titty in that goddamn show.
So much.
What do you guys think about C2?
I'd honestly say she was one of the better characters of the show. I don't think I'd say she's a good character, but she's the least bad.
She's the best. She's the best character for me.
What about Colin? Wait, Bogan, you were saying?
I didn't get her mythology at all. Like all these supernatural shit and her backstory just confused me.
We'll get into that with season 2 because I decided to. I dived deep, guys, for this one.
Oh no!
Because I love you, boys. I decided to dive deep. Heads up, there's not a lot there. We'll talk about that when the time comes.
Yes, since you mentioned Cowan, for the most part, she's just a very bleh character, kind of nothing, not really that interesting. She could have just been a pretty mediocre character if it wasn't for a particular scene involving drug abuse and her mother.
Oh, that one. Well, let's somebody talk about that scene.
Daniel wants to, I know.
That's episode 9, season 1. Okay. So, there is literally a scene towards the end of that episode where Callan becomes conflicted over whether or not she should let her mother die. So So she's in her mech, and she finds this warehouse, and in the warehouse, her mother's tripping balls on this drug. I think it's called
Relief.
Refrain.
No, the refrain. That's right.
Which, by the way, is one of those undercooked ideas in the show that gets mentioned a few times and then goes nowhere.
Yeah, it's barely even an element. It's only brought up when it's convenient, and otherwise it's just largely forgotten.
And that's an element actually that could have worked, where you have like, how do they keep the Japanese people docile? They drug them. They just drug them to hell.
Poor people at home and not on the streets.
Drugs.
But
yes,
yeah, Daniel, go on.
So she finds her mom, and then she's carrying her mom in her mech. And then there's an attack on the warehouse. And then while she's trying to outmaneuver the other mechs in the warehouse, she's still holding her mom in her hand. And she has this moment of conflict within her where she's like, oh, I should just throw her away, but why am I not doing that? You know, I don't even want her anymore. And it's like, dude, really? like her reasons for not even really like caring for her mom that much are so shallow. She's like, oh, her mom doesn't stand up for herself very well. Oh, her mom, it looks like from her perspective, it seems like her mom is chasing after some guy. Like, are those really good enough reasons to think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna let her die? No, that's fucking ridiculous.
I think though that that's a scene where you could say, and the defenders will say, well, Colin was raised in like the Britannian philosophy of survival of the fittest, so obviously she'd be repulsed by that. But she's fighting against the Britannians because he doesn't believe in that, guys. You can't talk around this. The scene doesn't work.
She's loyal to the Japanese to an near fanatical degree.
She's a terrorist, literally. She has murdered people for her cause. So you can't use the Britannian Darwinian philosophy as a crutch here, guys. You can't do it.
I don't think there's any defending this scene. Like, it makes Callan come across as a fucking sociopath, that she would even think that it would be okay to just let her mother die over these extremely shallow reasons.
That being said, if someone out there can defend that scene, be sure to comment down below. I'd love to hear this.
But I'm going to say, outside of that scene, Callan is a mostly consistent character.
Sure. She's fine.
Yeah.
Outside of that scene, she's okay.
I like that she was...
But, like...
I like that she was willing to just kill Sasaku unprompted for Lelouch. She thought that was the good thing to do.
Here's the thing, though, with saying that, like, oh, outside of that scene, she's okay. Let's say you have a character who's super charismatic. He's an awesome character. But there's one line of dialogue that irrefutably reveals that this character is actually a pedophile. It doesn't matter how awesome that character might have been outside of that one line. That one line taints the whole character.
Yes.
And I think it's the same thing with Callan here. Like, even it doesn't matter if she's okay outside of this scene. This scene does irreparable damage to her character.
Yeah, a few things I want to mention about the episode. Like, the place she found her mother was a drug trafficking warehouse, and I've read about plenty of drug busts in my time, but I've never heard of junkies getting high in the warehouse that people that drug lords store their drugs. That's like a huge security.
That's true.
And I'm just like, why is her mother and a bunch of junkies there? And I think one of the worst things about this whole character arc is that it is completely dropped. Her mom is never mentioned again. This whole idea.
Never again.
Yes, she is. She's in the end of the show. She's gaining some cognitions.
I don't even remember that.
Callan is running out. She has a sandwich in her mouth, and her mom is like sitting in a bed.
I think I remember something like that. But that's still
that's
weak.
That's barely.
Yeah,
that's so weak.
They'd have to throw little touches throughout the rest of the show to make that work.
It would have, it honestly would have been nice if once or twice you see her going back to visit her mom in the hospital, maybe saying a little something, give her a little character development, flesh out her relationship with her mom a little bit, maybe see her mom start noticing that her daughter's around, something, anything. But no, the show would rather spend episodes doing like school festivals where they bake a giant pizza or some bullshit like that.
That's the thing that happened in the show.
Twice! It happened twice!
Oh, yeah.
I love that scene where the pizza went flying and C2 was like, pizza.
That was kind of cute because I felt bad for Cece. I'm like, you know what, Cece? You deserve your pizza for being the least bad character of the show.
Can I say that this is the first time I noticed product placement in an anime? Maybe it's because I don't know Japanese product. But the fucking Pizza Hut commercials.
Wait, Boken, did you know that back in the day when this show was airing, Cece's nickname was Pizza Butt?
What?
Okay.
Yes.
Because she's just at Lelouch's place eating pizza.
Because here's the thing. That Pizza Hut product placement only appears in season 2, right?
Nope. That's not true.
It's excessively worse in season 2, though.
Well,
okay.
It's
predominantly in season 2. Go ahead, Dom.
Because we watched the Netflix version, and season 1 on Netflix has the product placement all removed and replaced with a generic non-brand.
Oh.
So in season 2, I guess
they forgot to remove it.
Either they forgot or the license. Simply the license just didn't run out. So we got plenty of Pizza Hut.
It's not predominantly in season 2. I think it's fairly even. Like, remember when I posted that screenshot of, I think CC eating pizza, and you, Asa, went, oh, that's like she got the coupons. Oh, that's where she got that little fluff.
Oh, that's
toy.
right.
Cheese Coon. Yo, Cheese Coon is the realest one of all of us, man.
Who?
Is that an actual Pizza Hut thing?
I have no idea.
Is Cheese Coon the bear she has?
Yeah, I don't know if it's
like that
bear,
big yellow thing that she keeps hugging.
Yeah. And she gets that from coupons in season 1.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
Yo, man, we all wish we were Cheese Coon being hugged by CC. Come on.
Yeah. Speaking of Pizza Hut, like, Pizza Hut is an American company. Do we ever know the fate of America in the show, or
it was swallowed by the Britannian Empire.
Oh, okay. It wasn't
Iceland too.
It wasn't destroyed. It was just taken over.
Yeah. Well, we don't even know if America ever came into being in this universe. Because, like, what? The Americas existed, and then, what? Pesky little Britain, crappy economy from 1930 to 1970, takes it over? I don't think so.
I always wondered, like, Britain has such an awkward way to Japan, geographically. How the fuck are they holding these kingdoms?
And, by the way, the EU is a concept. Well, we'll get into that in the season 2.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about that.
Suffice it to say, Boken is the only one here who would not have lived in Britannia in this universe.
Also, can I just say that this ties into the tonal issues I was talking about earlier, where there would be serious political discussions going on, but Cece is just hanging out with Cheese Coon. Just like she's just like cradling Cheese Coon while everyone is, talking real shit.
Oh, that's such a good scene where she loses her memory, and she goes and she's like, "Oh, master, is everything okay?" And Colin sees that.
Oh god!
Like, excuse me, this is what you've been doing while we were in the battlefield. Oh no, you don't understand. She's lost her memories. But that's not like,
because she says, "I'm going to reach the places that hurt," or some shit like that.
But that's season 2.
So let's talk about.
We keep jumping into season 2.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
talk about.
Let's briefly go over what do we want to say more about season 1.
No, I want to talk about Euphemia because Euphemia.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have to talk about that.
Yes. No, I meant. Do we want to just list out what we want to talk about season 1?
I don't know.
Nah,
I think we should just talk about the Euphemia scene because it
we'll
is an atomic bomb of bad.
Okay.
But Euphemia is a character that was among my favorite characters. Like she and Detard are the characters that I understand, that have a motivation, that are charismatic. And Euphemia in particular gets more shit done than anyone else in the show.
It also helps that Detard was voiced by Based Juji Nikata.
Okay.
Juji Nakata, he's like one of the most celebrated voice actors in Japan. He's a boss.
More focusing.
Kiriko Tomine.
Who does he speak for?
Oh yeah, that's him.
Yeah, he does Kiriko Tomine in the Fate series.
Uh-huh.
And if
he did the villain in Tales of the Abyss.
Uh-huh.
He's done a lot of stuff.
And if you played Persona 5, he's Sojiro.
Nope. I haven't.
Oh, he's Sojiro? That's awesome. I didn't even know that. That's so good.
But also we got what's his name?
He was Gankutsuo in the Count of Monte Cristo. What, you've never seen Gankutsuo? It's a really good show. He does the Count of Monte Cristo. Yeah, it's really good.
While we're talking about voice actors, we also got Watamoto voicing the Emperor. And I've never seen that guy ham it up as much as he does in Code Geass. It is fucking crazy.
To be fair, even though Charles is not really all that great of a character, I loved him just because of how awesome his voice actor was and how much he loved playing this fucking ridiculous character.
He's like
Lelouch.
He's like Emperor Palpatine in the Star Wars prequels.
Yes, exactly. I was gonna make that.
He's evil and he loves it. You gotta respect that in a man.
Euphemia.
Euphemia. She is sensible. She just goes over everyone in her command chain and just goes, okay, we're going to make a special zone for the Japanese. And we're going to slowly reinstate the sovereignty. And everything's going to be fine. And then she gets sacrificed in the dumbest episode I have ever seen. And that made me so fucking angry.
I remember watching the countdown on Discord as Bogan went through the episodes. And he was like, oh, this plan Euphemia has sounds so great. I wonder how they're going to fuck it up.
I like this character. She makes sense.
And the meltdown.
And then the episode is called like Euphemia and Blood or something like that.
One thing that doesn't make sense about Euphemia is how she falls in love with Suzaku for no reason.
It's because they're both attractive, and that's it.
There's literally no basis for their relationship. They just fall in love.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's...
She becomes her knight.
Speaking of undercooked ideas, that's one of them.
That could have been so good. Like, instead of wasting episodes and time on fan service and bullshit, why not show them going on dates and getting to know each other and actually fostering that relationship properly?
Because that's boring.
They only did that in one episode, and that's what irritates me.
That's the same thing, by the way, they did with Nina, who has like 2 conversations with Euphemia, and then she becomes her biggest fangirl of all time, to the point where Euphemia is killed, and she goes fucking crazy and develops a weapon of mass.
A nuclear bomb!
I take back what I said about Suzaku being the worst written character Nina is, because at least Suzaku has shadows of depth to him. Nina just kind of is someone they just like shove in to fuck some element of the plot somehow.
Yeah.
Also Table.
Yes, Table-kun deserved better than Nina. What the fuck?
That was
like
That's so bizarre.
You couldn't
Like, I don't understand how anyone could defend that scene in any way possible.
You could have literally just have her be under a blanket. Why stage the scene that way?
Wait, what are you
Why have her
talking
do it
about?
at all?
What are you talking about?
Well, she's masturbating to the thought of Euphemia because she's in love with her. And she's like jerking off on a table in a really weird way.
It's like she's slamming her vagina into like the corner edge of the table. It's like, what is this?
That's not a scene. What are you
Yes,
talking
it is!
about?
This is what?
Oh,
Okay, hold on a second.
I'll find it.
I don't.
How
did I not
like?
What?
Because it doesn't even clearly communicate that she's jerking off.
Okay, look at this. I just found it. Fucking watch that shit.
Nina eats table coon.
I mean, I ain't a woman and all, but I'd imagine trying to.
You tell me what's going on in this scene, Boken. You tell me what's going on in this scene.
What the fuck? I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, I ain't a woman and all, but I can imagine trying to stick a corner of a table into your cooter is just going to be painful, not pleasurable.
Probably.
Maybe
What's even worse about this scene is this ties back to the whole tonal issues I was talking about before, where there's a conversation happening between the Black Knights, and then it just cuts to this scene with Nina slamming it into a table and then this goes right back to the Black Knights talking. Why?
You're gonna have to include this clip in the actual episode. So.
I
don't want to scar the viewers like that.
I use an analogy whenever there was like some awkward transition between like serious conversation to fan service or that. It was like as if someone sat on the remote. We went from like Saving Private Ryan to sitting on the remote and turning on Skinamax.
No, we went from Saving Private Ryan to Saving Ryan's Privates, the porn version.
But going back to the scene with Euphemia, so this is arguably the most contrived scene in the entire show.
It might be the worst plot twist I've ever seen in an anime. Legitimately.
Wow!
Legitimately.
Yeah.
That is a big call.
So there is a video by Best Guy Ever. I strongly recommend people watch it. It's very good. It's all about this scene. But to basically explain what's wrong with this scene, so Yuffie came up with a plan to help the Japanese. It may not necessarily be a perfect plan, but it's definitely something that's going to help further things along and to help give the Japanese back their independence.
But it would ruin Lelouch's rebellion.
That's actually a scene that I actually liked, where there's this moment at the episode, one of the episodes prior to this. I think it was actually the prior episode, where Lelouch is confronted with, well, this is going to solve all the problems for the Japanese, but it's going to leave him high and dry. So he has this conflict of like, he's not going to get what he wants, even though it's
what
been...
a conflict. what a deep decision to make.
Well, I think it's interesting, right? Because like, he's only the leader of the Black Knights, and saying that he wants to help the Japanese for his own gains. He's really only doing it for his own revenge and for his own goals. And now he has to be confronted with this solution to their problems, but it's not going to help him.
But it like he is also a bit conflicted, because on one hand, he does realize that he wants what Euphemia wants too. He just wants a bit more. So there is a genuine conflict in Lelouch in that he is tempted to just go along with her plan.
But the thing is, that would like lead the show nowhere. And obviously, we can't have that. So what ends up happening is the most ridiculously stupid moment in the entire show, where it's just Lelouch and Euphemia talking, and Lelouch makes a joke. He's just like, "Oh yeah, I have this thing called the Geass. I can tell you."
No, he doesn't say that. He says something like, I'm very convincing. If I told you to kill the Japanese people, you would do it. But his Geass was activated when he said it.
Yeah.
See, because and we'll have to talk about Mao after this, but Mao was a character that it was actually kind of foreshadowing that Lelouch would lose control of his powers. Because if you use the Geass too much, then, it's going to be active all the time. And it happens right at this moment. And it's so contrived because the way that the Geass works is you have to be looking at someone in the eye. You have to be giving them a command. And not only was he doing that, he happened to say the one thing as a joke that would literally ruin everything.
But also, it's a joke, so why did his Geass even activate? If his Geass was one activation from going out of hand, he wasn't actually giving her a command.
It just happened.
Why did it activate?
It just happened for the sake of having this scene just contrived to happen.
Also, you guys notice there's not a single, we have 10 more Geass users or something that arrive in the show. None of them seem to have this issue.
Okay, season 2. That's one of the questions I wanted to ask you while we were ironically pretending to like the show. What is it with Rolo, who can't even remember how many people he killed with his dumbass power, but for some reason his shit never got out of control?
You don't know.
Yeah, he's had his Geass longer than Lelouch has, and has probably used it more, yet Lelouch, in a smaller amount of time, lost control of his Geass.
He literally says he can't even remember how many people he killed.
It is
slowing down.
You know what? Because Rolo was produced by a factory. It is possible that those scientists have refined the Geass process. Because Lelouch just got it clean from C2. It's not canon, I don't think, but you can accept if you can accept that headcanon, guys. If you can.
The thing is, wasn't Rolo dismissed by the scientists as a failure or something?
Yeah, he had a weak heart. Every time he stopped time, he stopped his own heart as well.
Yeah, and he dies from his weak heart before his power can even get out of control, even though he dies because he's abusing his power too much.
And this may sound heartless, but if he is a failed subject with a weak heart, why did they keep an assassin? Why didn't they just dispose of him, kill him?
Yeah,
because we have to feel sorry for him.
Realistically,
that is a really good point. Why did they keep him around? They have 100 little kids.
Yeah, usually when human test subjects are a failure, they usually kill them and dispose of them because it will look bad for them if it becomes known.
Maybe they couldn't. He kept stopping time and running away.
Oh my god.
So I think that I've properly defended the Euphemia scene, but
yes.
Look.
The show trash. Was basically over. And they had to somehow turn it around into more drama and more war and more killing.
I don't like how they got there. I do like that she does order to kill the Japanese and she becomes this murder-hungry lunatic. I thought that was such a cool scene, even though it got there in a really dumb way.
Euphemia didn't deserve it. She just didn't. If it had happened to some dumbass...
I know, but that's why it's so good.
She's the best character in the show.
No.
What really annoys me about it is that Lelouch is saying something so wildly out of character.
Yeah,
he wouldn't say something like that.
No, he wouldn't.
If you want to say a joke, why don't you say something innocent like, "If I could make you cluck like a chicken, you would," and then it goes off and she clucks like a chicken.
Anything.
I think that the show would have been infinitely better if season 1 hadn't concerned it so much with making him redeemable. And he would have just said, you know what? You're going to go out there and order the execution of those people. Because I'm just a crazy sociopath. And then in season 2, you can worry about redeeming him if you want. The show,
I honestly would have preferred that.
yeah, because I like that so much. Again, jumping to season 2 at the end, when he just decides, you know what? I'll just use my power to take over this entire enterprise. Why wouldn't you do that in the first place?
So here's the real bullshit with this scene with Euphemia, right? It's bad enough that scene is so ridiculously contrived, right? Like all these conditions have to be met to create this completely nonsensical scene. But at the end, first of all, she dies from one gunshot, even though medical science couldn't save her, despite the fact another guy got turned into fucking Swiss cheese, and he was like.
You mean Jeremiah?
We'll get into him. Mao. I'm talking about Mao.
Okay.
He was shot by a Tommy gun from a helicopter.
No, Mao was shot by an entire squad of policemen.
Right. That's right.
He was shot by an entire squad of policemen, and then he came back in the next episode, and the excuse was, "Oh, it was advances in modern medicine." But Euphemia gets shot once, one time, and she's dead.
Also, am I supposed to believe that the Britannians give two shits about the citizens they killed? Mao is canonically Chinese. Don't call me racist, but I'm going to say that the Britannian police don't see a difference between the Japanese and the Chinese. They shoot down some little Chinese guy in the streets. They're not going to take him to a hospital. Why would they?
I mean, the people who shot him up were under Lelouch's control.
Yeah. I'm not racist.
Wait a minute. So Lelouch went also take him to a hospital.
I don't think he did.
No, maybe they found him?
I don't know. Was this explained?
Couldn't Lelouch should have just said, okay, you're going to shoot down Mao and you're going to make sure that he's fucking dead.
He could have said, he wouldn't have said shoot Mao, he would have said kill Mao.
Yeah.
Kill Mao and then dispose of the body.
Yeah, no, instead he said, okay, shoot at Mao and then run away.
Also, call a cop.
But I wasn't done yet. I wasn't done yet, though, because what really annoys me is the Geass, the way that works is that it changes your brain state, right? So after that, Euphemia sees Suzaku, and she has the Geass telling her, you gotta kill Suzaku because he's Japanese. But she's like, no, but I love him. And she overpowers the Geass.
That's right.
What the fuck?
That's so dumb.
The power of love overcame the Geass. Shut up.
Since we mentioned Mao, I think we should probably talk about him and the fact that he's one of the first instances of how fast and loose the show plays with the Geass's rules and how vaguely defined they are. We get that Lelouch can only use his power once per person. But for some reason, this doesn't apply to Mao at all. He can read someone's mind as much as he wants.
Yes.
And there's nothing that explains this at all, because he got his power from CC as well.
Yeah, but they don't have the same power, so I don't think that necessarily has to be an issue with him having unlimited use of his power.
But why is it that Lelouch does have a limitation while Mao doesn't?
Because
why does everyone have different powers? Why is it like a stand battle, basically?
Okay, that actually did get some explanation. I think Cece said that the Geass, the power of the Geass reflects the individual.
Yeah, maybe Lelouch only gets one use because he as an individual he's manipulative, but he's also caring. He wouldn't do it twice.
It still doesn't make sense. What are the chances that there aren't two instances of the same Geass?
And having this infinite use Geass, mind control Geass, it also makes Mao an overpowered character.
It's not mind control. He can just read minds.
Not mind control. Sorry, reading minds. My mistake. But yeah, reading minds, and it does make him an overpowered character. The fact that he's able to do this infinite amount of times to anyone.
I don't know. I think you can still just shoot the guy. He'll know you're gonna do it, but what's he gonna do?
You know what I just realized? if Mao can read minds, wouldn't he have learned from Lelouch while he was confronting him that Lelouch has these policemen set up to shoot him?
No, because Lelouch. No, that he hadn't erased his memory yet.
No, see that Mao. I think that was before Lelouch came up with that plan. When Mao met Lelouch again, that was when he had the recorded video, which is a whole other stupid thing.
No, that's great.
Where Lelouch recorded this video talking to Mao, and it's so stupid because he knew that what Mao was going to say. And he knew that Mao was going to stick around, too, and want to argue with Lelouch.
He predicted not only his responses, but also the timing of his responses.
Now, at the very least, you could make the argument, well, Mao is kind of dumb, so it wouldn't be that hard to predict. But then the show brings us back again in season 2.
Nicer.
And that one is infinitely worse. Because the two of them are having this in-depth philosophical discussion. It makes no sense that Lelouch would be able to literally predict what the fuck Schneisel was going to say. This Schneisel throughout the whole show was being developed as Lelouch's intellectual rival, his equal.
His superior.
How the fuck would he... Yeah, in some cases even superior. How the fuck would he be able to predict what he would say and the timing of it so perfectly? It's... But, going back to Mao again, so Mao is shot up by a squad of policemen. He comes back the next episode in a bunch of bandages, says, oh, whatever, advancements in modern medicine. Here's another thing that happened in that episode that is fucking ridiculous. Suzaku outruns a gun turret. There is a hallway with a machine gun turret, and Suzaku is able to run so fast that he outruns the bullets.
It's like they caught the Matrix on cable one night and were like, yeah, throw that in.
Wait, Suzaku, he wasn't in the mech, do you mean?
No, not in the mech.
He was not in the mech.
You're not talking about when he was saving Euphemia.
No.
I'm talking about the episode. So I'm talking about the episode where Mao comes back.
Huh.
Yeah.
They go down an elevator, which leads to this sewer, and then there's a hallway, and then the hallway there is a machine gun turret, and Suzaku is able to run so quickly that he outruns the bullets of the machine gun turret and then destroys the machine gun turret.
He's very athletic. You don't know.
It leads to a sewer. For some reason, it's a turret there. I feel bad for any kid who may have wanted to sneak down there to maybe smoke a cigarette or something. He just walks in.
Yeah, why is... It also brings the question, what is this doing under a school? Why is there an elevator leading to a sewers with a machine gun turret? What is this?
Yeah, that was also an episode where Nunnally was kidnapped, and we could bring up another instance of Suzaku's stupidity. He sees Lelouch holding a picture of tied up Nunnally, and he doesn't try to say why is she like this? What have you been into? What's happened? He just immediately says, "Oh, we got to go find her." I'm like, no, you should be detaining him and asking him what the hell just happened.
Imagine if your best friend looked scared and dropped a picture of his sister that was tied up and gagged.
His crippled sister, blind and confined to a wheelchair.
Would your first instinct be, oh, someone kidnapped her, let's go save her? Or, what the hell have you been doing with your sister?
What the hell have you done to your blind, crippled sister?
Yeah.
Because she can't fight back.
Yeah, no real questions. If Suzaku was smarter, this whole thing would expose Lelouch. This whole thing.
There is no Code Geass if Suzaku is smarter.
Boken, I think you'll appreciate this. But one of my favorite things that Your Movie Sucks has ever said is, if your script only works because your characters are stupid, then it means your script doesn't work.
Yeah.
The script only works because Susaku is such a fucking idiot.
Wow.
Well, work in a very tenuous sense, but you get what I mean.
Like,
I guess it
like,
from A to B.
like the only way that thing with Suzaku Lelouch could be even remotely justified is if they built up their friendship more to show how close they are, and that's which is not a problem.
You know what? The implication could have just been, hey, I know Lelouch is actually a prince. I see that photo. Oh, somebody who else also knows he's a prince must have found them.
Yeah,
that's the headcanon.
You know what? That makes some sense. But at the same time, at least ask instead of just assume. Just ask, like, hey, what's going on? Instead of just, oh, there's something, she's been kidnapped. Let's go save her. Anyways, is there anything else we want to say about season 1 before moving on?
Lelouch ditched his terrorist friends at the Battle of Tokyo. Because
during the ending?
Yeah, because Nonali had been taken.
That's true.
Doesn't Lelouch just sacrifice them?
Yes.
The massive explosion?
No, not his own team. Bogan, do you want to talk about how Lelouch collapses the city?
That's season 2.
He does it in season 1. No, wait,
Yeah.
did he?
No, it's season 2.
Yeah. No,
He did it in both.
Both.
No,
yeah.
in season 1 he collapsed like a part of it. In season 2, I think he collapsed most of it. Right? Yes. Talk to me, Boken.
I'm pretty sure that's season 2 because I just watched that scene earlier.
It's in both.
Let's just say that Lelouch is no stranger to collateral damage.
And then, but the life of an individual still is able to affect him.
Yeah, of this one
somehow.
individual. That's the most important thing to him.
Like, mate, you collapsed one like skyscraper. That's 5,000 people. What have you done?
Yeah. Henry Cavill, eat your heart out.
Oh yeah, I think.
Okay, I think we need a break.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about let's talk about Gottwald in season 2, though. Jeremiah.
we're gonna take a break, everyone, and then we're gonna reconvene, and then we're gonna talk about season 2. Even though we did dip into season 2 a lot, we're gonna predominantly talk about it.
I did want to mention one more thing about season 1.
Okay, go ahead.
Just how awful the cliffhanger is.
Oh, so yeah, that cliffhanger, it's not as bad for you guys because you're watching it now, but when I was watching it as it was airing, just imagine like having to wait several months in between seasons 1 and 2. It was pretty bad.
It is basically Lelouch and Suzaku pointing a gun at each other, and it cuts the credits, leaving pretty much all plot threads unresolved.
Oh yeah.
With no hook into what happens next. Just they're pointing a gun at each other. Credits.
I really like, though, right before they pulled their guns out at each other, when he shoots Lelouch in the face and his mask clacks open. I thought that was super cool.
Also, you hear the gunshot right before, like it's fade to black gunshot basically.
Yes. Also, what's with those pissy gunshots? It's always like or something. Anyway, let's take a break, guys.
Anyway, don't worry, guys. Unlike Code Geass, we're not going to leave you on the cliffhanger. We will be right back. Welcome back, everyone. The time is nigh. We're going to be discussing Season 2 of Code Geass in this spoiler cast extravaganza. So, there seems to be some mixed opinions here. So, Dom and I are of the opinion that season 2 is significantly worse, but apparently Boken and Acer think season 2 is better?
Yes.
Significantly better.
I want to hear this. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start. Whatever. So, what I like about season 2 is that they keep building the scale. Like, they bring in more nations. They bring in more characters from those nations. Politics take a bigger role. And they still don't know how the fuck politics work whatsoever. Like, I don't want to get this wrong. It's still a bad show, and it's horribly written.
No.
But at least shit was happening. Throughout most of season 1, nothing was happening overall.
We get the Chinese Federation, we get the EU, and all of a sudden it's sort of explained why, like, if Lelouch can only play these foreign actors properly, then he can make them do a lot of the fighting against Britannia. And all of a sudden, yeah, his rebellion kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And I'll say after episode 15 or something, it takes a huge nosedive, because that's when the supernatural elements take over.
Only for a little bit, though.
Well, but then the conflict after that is just dumb.
See, Acer and I, I'm not sorry, Acer. Dom and I feel differently, where like we felt that the first half was just really boring, and then the second half, that second half was just really stupid, but at least things were happening.
Yeah, because you mentioned like bringing, tipping the scales, bringing in all these nations, and that brings me to an issue. There's just way too many characters to keep track of.
Yes.
Like, I had difficulty remembering who was who. I mean, the only way I can remember them was a distinctive design. Even then, I had difficulty recalling their names. And even an issue with like a lot of these differing arcs is that a lot of them are really undercooked and poorly developed and rushed.
Sure.
I also
I
think
don't
that
think that means that stuff is happening. Like they keep changing countries. They keep globetrotting.
And you also get a sense that Lelouch actually isn't so great anymore, because now they've brought in Sneisel, who's so much smarter.
Is he, though?
No, because of plot reasons, but he keeps outplaying him, which is what I like.
You mean he outplays him so much that he did an illegal move in chess?
Well, yes, we'll talk. We don't need to talk about that. But
Yeah.
but I like that though. I like that. It was also I think there was a scene, Bogan, in season 1 which you liked, because Lelouch just had his ass handed to him, and he was just he was just an angry little kid. Wasn't there?
Maybe.
It may have been the whole Euphemia thing or something. Anyway, it's fun to watch Lelouch lose. Lelouch, if you will. Also, about Sneisel, I'll just briefly. This is a non sequitur for me, and then I'll let you go. Sneisel, he has a German name, doesn't he, Bogan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nonnally and Lelouch, they have a French name, and their mother is Marianne. That's like sort of French. France is part of Britannia. Germany is not part of Britannia.
Also, neither of it is actually British. And Charles is British.
Yeah, well, they're Britannian.
Yeah, but then why is? Oh, you mean like? But why would French people be in the royalty of Britannia?
Because Marianne, she wasn't a noble person. She was a commoner. So I imagine, because she has a French name and her kids have French name too.
Why would they give the kids of, like, why would Charles even allow that?
Because he loved her, man.
So what? He's got an empire to lead.
Yeah, but he has like 400 kids. Do you think he gives a shit about their name?
That's a good point. He has a bunch of wives.
But like, I just thought it was interesting that Sneisel, who's the second oldest, has a German name, but Germany isn't part of the empire.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And even then, Schneisel is not a word I'd ever say anything ever. That's
Oh.
not a name people have.
Really?
German sounding.
Schneisel sounds like a nickname for someone's nose, like schnoz.
Schneisel sounds like Schnitzel.
Wiener Schnitzel.
Oh God.
But anyway, you were saying?
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I think season 2 is slightly better because I was more engaged because I felt like the plot was actually moving somewhere. But season 2 is also when I started writing down all my questions because nothing made any sense anymore. That the writing is so dumb and there are so many contrivances and things where people act and you wonder like, how did he know this? How did he know this was going to happen? How does Lelouch know that character is going to be there so he can set up this whole thing where he like took over a bunch of soldiers and gave them specific commands? That shit just kept happening.
I also with season 2, and I know you guys don't like the school stuff. The school stuff is not as significant in season 2 as I think you guys might be remembering. There's like, because for the most of the show, Lelouch is just hanging out with the Black Knights. The school stuff is very.
Hold on a second. There is an entire episode that is all about Lelouch running away from girls who are trying to date him.
Yeah, that's one episode.
There's another episode that had a fucking Cupid event.
That's that same episode.
No, that's a different episode.
Oh.
Wait, was it?
No, that's either the same episode or one after that.
There's less...
Okay, no, yeah, now I'm starting to remember. Yeah, okay, that probably was the same episode.
Like, there is less school stuff, but I'd argue they double down on the stupid. like the Cupid part is the worst, is close to the worst episode in the series, just due to how... Not just unrealistic, but just how unfunny, cringy. It made the cat episode look like an episode of The Wire.
What is it called when it's anime? It's like an anime trope where a bunch of girls are acting like idiots, but it's like, oh, sexy idiots. What's it called?
Harem?
No. It's like
Ecchi?
Yes.
Oh, Ecchi, okay.
Yeah. It's I don't know, man.
Ecchi has no place in a political show. Ecchi should not be in a show that has racially charged genocide. Okay, this was season 2, episode 5. This is the episode where Valletta is wearing a string bikini in front of the student body.
Oh, yeah. I noticed that she's black, and the Britannians don't have a problem with that. So is it really just a cultural issue they have, rather than a racial one?
Seems to be just...
It's not...
Seems to be xenophobia rather than flat-out racism.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Can we talk about how season 2 starts? Because remember, we just said that at the end of season 1, Suzaku and Lelouch have guns pointed at each other, and you hear gunshots.
Yes.
And then it starts with Lelouch being back in school and not remembering anything. And somehow Rollo is there, who is his brother, but he doesn't remember that he didn't have a brother before.
Mm-hmm. It builds intrigue, that opening. I think you'll find.
Yeah, but then it shows a flashback that actually is a better cliffhanger for season 1, where Suzaku brings Lelouch handcuffed to Charles and he wipes his memories. I'm like, okay, that's a more memorable cliffhanger rather than just we're gonna leave everything unresolved with no proper lead in.
Yeah.
But he gets his memories back, and he basically goes back to his old bullshit, right?
Yeah, that would have been that would have been a cooler scene. Would have been a bad cliffhanger. You wait for like a year. Oh my god, Charles has done something to his memories. What's gonna happen? Nothing. It's just the first episodes we undo it.
Yeah. But okay, why did they do this? Why didn't they just kill Lelouch? I think What?
So the reason why they didn't kill Lelouch is because they were trying to lure CC.
They were trying to lure CC. I know that. Do they really need for that? Do they need to set up this whole complex web of
I thought
bullshit? When at the first episode they already had her without Lelouch even knowing about her. So they clearly have some way of capturing her before.
I thought you meant why didn't the animation studio kill the writers?
No. No, but that is one of those things where in a movie or in a series, like in some kind of story, the villain has complete control over the main character, and they somehow need to break free. And that is always the point where you have to ask yourselves, wouldn't it be just easier to kill him or to lock him up?
Also, we learned in season 2 that C2, she wants to die, and only Charles or Lelouch can kill her. And if they kill Lelouch, that means only Charles can kill her. So she would have had to go to him herself eventually anyway.
Oh.
See, my problem with what happened at the end of episode 1 was that the soldiers didn't really know who Cece was, and then they ended up trying to kill her. Shouldn't they know that she's important and that they're supposed to capture her?
No.
Why did they shoot her?
It doesn't matter. They don't need to know that because they can't kill her. Maybe they should know to capture her, bring her back, but it doesn't. They shouldn't. It's not an issue that they shot her. I think the issue just is that they didn't bring her back.
I think it's an issue that they weren't instructed to capture her.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of the plan with Lelouch.
Are you talking about episode 1 of season 2?
Yes.
Because they do shoot her in episode 1, season 1.
And 2.
Yes, they do. But no. But my point is that in season 1 and season 2, episode 1, there's a whole plan to recapture her.
Yeah.
So then why are they shooting her?
They don't know.
I don't know.
Why don't you think they should know?
Why did they keep Lelouch alive? He's like the most dangerous enemy that the Britannian Empire has faced, and they're going to do this whole bullshit plan to try to lure out a character that they already had captured before.
Well, I don't know. I guess they just thought it'd be easier to capture her this way.
Yeah, look how easy it was. And they sent someone
look.
with a weak heart.
Look. Okay, wait. Here's what you're not. Here's what you're not understanding, Boken. Charles read the script.
I gotta do this shit. Fine.
I think it is fair to say that Marianne probably was to Charles like, hey, don't actually kill him. Like, come on. Because she does care for him to some capacity.
Well, I mean...
It's still a dumb setup. Don't misunderstand. But if you need some internal logic of the show to explain why he wouldn't do that...
Let me ask you something. In what situation would she feel the need to tell her husband, hey, hubby, you mind not killing our son?
What do you mean?
Just over the dinner, having some steaks or something. It's like, oh, by the way, Charles, I wouldn't be very happy if you killed our son.
Maybe
I appreciate if you not do that.
What's wrong with that? He has Lelouch gagged and in front of him, and Marianne is like, hey, don't, let's not be too harsh. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, there is.
It's weird. Charles Geass allows him to scramble someone's memory. But Lelouch does that too, and he can command people.
Yeah?
Why is that?
What do you mean? Because they're so similar.
Yeah, but why does Lelouch get 2 powers and like the King Emperor only has 1?
Yeah, now you think about it, like simply giving someone an order and altering their memories is a far different ballpark.
Yeah.
And you know what?
God.
Assumably, Charles can use his in multiple times, though. And you know what's funny? Charles, he picked like a bunch of shitty women to have children with because they're all so tiny, all of his kids. And he's like 2 meters tall and he's built like a linebacker. Every one of his kids must
He's
have
a giant.
Yeah, every one of his kids must have inherited shitty genes from their mothers.
Every one of their kids is in desperate need of a cheeseburger. Like, come on, get some bulk on you.
Probably there's one.
It's some protein.
There's one of them who's just a monster.
Also, Charles is the only one who has his fake hair like that, like in the 1800s or whatever.
You mean that wig?
Yeah, that wig.
Yeah, that's good.
No one else looks like that.
Just him.
No. V2 has dumb hair. No, you're right. You know who's a great character though? Jeremiah Gottwald.
Is he?
I mean, he was mostly a joke character in season 1, and then all of a sudden in season 2 they turned him into a badass, and I was just like, what?
Why did he join the side?
Because
The Black Knights?
Because he was loyal to Lady Marianne. He was her bodyguard, and he failed, but his loyalty remained. And when he learned that Lelouch was her son, he himself to him instead.
So, yeah, Dom really wanted to talk about this. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like the whole loyalty to Marianne thing comes across as a dumb plot twist that was never built up to anything. And here's the problem. In a sense, it was built up, but not in the anime itself. In a picture drama, it explains that came out when season 1 was airing. It explained that, he was a royal guard. He was one of Marianne's closest bodyguards. For some reason, this is not in season 1. Like they say in season 2, let's just make this a emotionally manipulative twist that we didn't earn, and say, he's a good guy now. Yeah. Eat loads of dicks, you little assholes.
You shouldn't have to go outside of the show to get crucial details like this.
Also, remember, he comes to Lelouch's school and he starts like attacking people and wreaking havoc and fighting the maid, even though at all times he had the intention to join Lelouch.
No.
Yes.
He didn't have the intention to join Lelouch.
Of course.
No. He only found out Lelouch was Marianne's son after Lelouch revealed it when he had like the Geass. They were meeting near the tray.
Yeah. He didn't know then.
No, he didn't know then. Lelouch revealed it to him.
Oh, okay. Then I might be misremembering that. So he just decided on the spot.
I think his
because he's loyal to Marianne.
I see. Okay, then I'm
You'd think somebody would have gone, hey, since we're building this super weapon and we have like this guy, we're making him a super weapon, and we have the technology to just make him a slave of our orders. Why don't we just do that? No, you know what? No, wait a minute. It makes sense in the first show that he would have been kind of clunky. But they took him back to the facility and remade him. So why didn't they do that? I'm starting to think this show has some holes, guys.
What technology do you mean that they can control him?
They just bring him to Charles. Hey, you're going to be an absolute puppet to our desires.
Charles can control people. He can only erase memories and so.
Yeah, but that's enough. Well, he can just go, hey, you don't remember anything from your previous life, and here are your new memories. You're loyal to me. You've always been loyal to me, and you're always going to be.
I guess. Yeah, that Geass cancel as a powerful weapon.
Oh, wait a minute. He would have just canceled his own Geass.
Oh my God.
He would have just canceled Charles's mic. They probably tried it in the show, and he accidentally just canceled it.
So that brings that brings me to another scene that is so fucking ridiculous because I think we mentioned before that Shirley had her memories altered by Lelouch, but then when Jeremiah gets this Geass canceller in a completely random location out of nowhere, the two, like, Shirley is just walking down the street minding her own fucking business, and then Jeremiah is like up in a building and he's just like, oh, whatever, I feel like using my Geass canceller right now. And then Shirley just gets all her memories back. What the fuck?
That's fine.
That is not fine.
That's fine. That's
That is
just a way to
so
get her
ridiculous.
back to a place.
No. So she just so happened to be near Jeremiah when he just so happened to be using his Geass canceller for literally no reason.
Yeah, why not? You were willing. You were willing to overlook and forgive the Euphemia murder, but you won't overlook this.
I wasn't.
No.
I literally wasn't.
No.
I almost got him, guys.
It's all good though, because I was really happy when Shirley got killed.
What? Wow. Why?
Because she's annoying. She's a pointless character.
She is so pointless. Like, all of the school characters add nothing to the story.
Yeah.
If all of the if Shirley, if Rivals, if Millie, if
Nina added the
I mean,
players.
Nina does some stuff, but like she's not that important.
They don't
like
you don't need Nina to develop this stupid weapon.
It's also funny that in the end, Nina serves Lelouch. Like she has the ethical sensibility to be like, yeah, well, we need to fix the world, and I'll go along with your plan, Lelouch. Even though I was mental in the last season.
So Nina is also like a hard racist, like a hard like xenophobe, but it's never really explained. Like throughout the whole show, she's just like this. At most, I guess you can explain as like, well, it's because of what happened with Euphemia, but like, it seemed like it was something that was fostering even before that, and it's never really explained. It's not even other Britannians seem to be as extreme about it as she is, and we don't know why.
Yeah, you can't chalk it up as the environment she grew up in because no one else is like her.
Maybe most of the Britannians are just really racist, but these kids, they live in like a liberal arts college with political correctness gone mad, and they're really progressive in their society. You could maybe that's well, I don't know.
Look, here's the problem with going, oh, maybe it's this and maybe it's that. If it's not conveyed in the show properly, then we shouldn't have to make that assumption.
Also, Code Geass has so many confirmed dumb plot twists that why would you ever give it the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, it occurs to Shirley, like to the boys and girls watching at home. I am no misogynist, but Shirley only exists for cock.
Yeah, I mean, her character literally just existed to be like a cheerleader for Lelouch, like just to fall in love with Lelouch. There was nothing other than that about her character. Nothing else defined her character other than she loves Lelouch.
If Lelouch were a girl, she would be a lesbian.
Yeah? Were you going somewhere with this?
No, because he said she exists for cock. I'm just saying, it's not so much that she just loves Lelouch. She is so in love with this particular character that her entire the entire sexual romantic aspect of her life has just been hijacked by Lelouch somehow. Which goes back to what I said way back. He is such an unlikable character. Why would any girl fall in love with him?
Well, I mean, it's similar to Death Note, where Light Yagami is also kind of an unlikable prick, but all the girls love him, and it's because he's attractive.
No, he is charismatic to them. Like when he was on that date with what's that girl's name? He was like nice. He was friendly and all that. Made a couple of jokes. Lelouch doesn't even do that.
Yeah,
That's
Lelouch
true.
could not give a single fuck.
I honestly thought Lelouch was asexual the whole show. The way he acted, like he just had no sexuality, which would have been fine. But then, like, there seemed to be. They seemed like the show then tried to throw in like, oh, maybe he likes Callan. Like there was some stuff in season 2 where all of a sudden he was like, "Oh, Callan, once this is all over, let's go back to school together." It's like, what? And then when he was going to take some drugs, and then Callan, yeah, the refrain, and then he basically told Callan like, "Oh, you're a woman, so why don't you make me feel better?"
There are things a woman can do for a man. Ooh.
Yeah, he said something like that. Like, what the fuck?
Can we talk about China?
Go ahead.
Remember that scene when they are about Nunnally, who becomes the what is it called? Like the Britannian
Viceroy.
The Viceroy. Nunnally becomes the Viceroy and is about to announce a demilitarized zone for Japan. Like fairly similar to the plan that Euphemia had.
It's just the same plan. She
Yeah,
wanted to revive her dream.
Yeah. And then that weird fucking scene starts where all the Japanese gather on this plaza or whatever, like this field of grass. And then Zero comes in, and then suddenly smoke starts appearing, and everyone opens up their bags that they brought with them, which was very conspicuous, by the way. And suddenly, a million people have Zero outfits, and then they don't know who to shoot anymore because Zero is now hidden behind the masses. And then the Chinese people take them in and bring those 1 million back to China for asylum.
Mhm.
And I was just sitting there like, are they mass producing Zero outfits? Where the fuck did they get them? How did they set them up?
And how
And that, you know, I thought it was stretching believability at the beginning when Lelouch made the suit to begin with, and I just kind of let it go. I was just like, fine, whatever, he wants to have
needs
his
a suit.
suit.
Yeah.
But this is just like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
And how did every single one of those 1 million people put on that suit in like 5 seconds?
But yeah.
It's a convoluted outfit that would take a half an hour to get into.
Yeah. It's like one of those medieval armors that you have to like strap on. You need like 5 people helping you.
It's got a cape. It's got that clumsy helmet. It's like gloves and boots and shit.
The weird
like,
fucking thing, in the next episode, they are then in China, right? And then suddenly, the Chinese authorities, the eunuchs, decide that they now want peace with Britannia, and they are offering the 1 million Japanese to Britannia for that. So why the fuck did they even take them in the first place?
Bargaining chips for the peace. Because the eunuchs wanted to, they would become nobles in Britannia, and I imagine they just wanted them to have something to bargain with Sneisel with.
Yeah. And to the people watching at home, yeah, that's what they're called. Eunuchs. That's what they're called.
Yeah, weren't they supposed to be the prince's wedding gift from China? The terrorists. Guys?
Wasn't Lelouch or Zero supposed to marry Princess?
It wasn't Lelouch. Wait, you mean from
he was supposed to marry Kaguya, right? Or Sakuya, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
They had some plan, but the Britannians wanted to marry the Kaguya. See, they wanted to marry Kaguya to the Elderborn. And the Chinese Federation, the eunuchs of them, they wanted to give Britannia the Black Knights as a wedding gift.
No, wait, it wasn't Kaguya. It was the TNZ, the Chinese princess, right?
Oh, TNC.
Isn't that? No, wait. Kaguya is the Japanese girl. That's right. I'm mixing the names.
Yes.
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 What's the little girl's name? Shinkei is the guy. The girl's name is
The TNZ.
Tianzi.
Yeah, the TNZ.
Is that her name?
Or
I think so.
it's either
TNZ.
TNZ or the TNZ.
Shinkei was pretty cool.
Yeah, though.
He was all right, but like he had some illness that never really got explained. It was
It
kind of
doesn't go
dropped
anywhere.
after it was brought up. Yeah, it didn't go anywhere.
I
It was just to drum up some tension with his character, and then just they don't do anything with it.
If the eunuchs want peace with Britannia, why don't they just say so?
They don't want peace. They wanted to become nobles. See, they were willing.
Of
Sneisel-
Britannia.
Yes. They were willing to give the Chinese, the Federated States of China over to Britannia in exchange for that. Because Sneisel is a master negotiator. He had apparently conquered half of the EU.
So, I want to talk about one scene in particular where the Black Knights betrayed Lelouch.
Oh, yeah, that scene.
Okay, so this scene is completely ridiculous, where Schneisel and Cornelia approach Ogi and some other like higher ups in the Black Knights, and they present, Toto and people, and they're pretty much like, oh, you know, Zero's just playing you, and all this
Lelouch
stuff.
has magic powers.
And the evidence, the quote-unquote evidence that they present is a conversation between Suzaku and Lelouch, where Suzaku is like, oh, why did you kill Euphemia? And Suzaku, and then Lelouch said it was to garner the sympathies of the Japanese people. Now, that scene in and of itself was completely ridiculous because Lelouch was lying through his teeth for no reason. It was literally no reason. The only reason he was lying profusely throughout that scene was for this scene with the Black Knights. And it doesn't even make any sense because all they do is show an audio clip when they already provided another scene where the maid removes her mask, showing that she had been parading as Lelouch in the school, and it changes her voice. So they could have had anyone pretending to be Lelouch. It doesn't matter. It's not proof of
Which,
anything.
by the way, that technology gets introduced in that scene and then abandoned in that scene.
Yeah, and another piece of decisive evidence is Valletta and Ogi, although none of them ever tries to say, oh, Valletta's just trying to seduce Ogi, like he has her under her spell. No one has any good defenses for Lelouch whatsoever. I'm like,
And
wow.
also, they're not like, hey, why don't we, like, even if all of this is true, let's not do anything until he has taken out the Britannians. Then we can just get rid of him.
Well, yeah, wouldn't that make more sense?
Because while he has this power and he is tangential, let him do his thing.
they're
we-
court-appointed lawyers who are way better than the Black Knights.
Look, we all had fun with the show, but there definitely are one or two things here that could have been fleshed out a bit better.
One or two.
Let's talk about the magic powers.
No, wait.
Oh,
Before we get to the magic powers, like you want to go to episode 15, right? Where they want to slay God or some shit like that?
that's what I'm talking about.
Before we get to that, we have to remember that also after the eunuchs are defeated, which I'm still not entirely confident with your description, but fine, whatever. But then China's on their side. Suddenly, like, okay, the Chinese royals are on their side. And then Lelouch convinces all the other nations that aren't part of the Britannian Empire to found the UFN, the United Federation of Nations,
Yes.
to start a war with Britannia. He does that in like 2 meetings. All the people, all the political elites from all these nations just say, sure, why the fuck not? And then he even gets them to abandon all their military. Like they actually say, no, we're all going to abandon all our military power and we will bring in the Black Knight to defend all of us, to command all of us in this United Federation of Nations that they just founded. You know where the EU is now? The EU doesn't even have a unified military, and the EU is like 70 years old.
There is some talk about it, though, isn't there?
Yeah, there's some talk about it, but that isn't happening until another 20 years or something.
Yeah.
That is so fucking ridiculous.
I feel like before we really get into the more supernatural stuff that you want to get into, Acer, we have to lead in with all the bullshit related to Marianne.
Oh, there was bullshit?
Oh, there was bullshit.
Show your working, Florida man.
So apparently the way that Marianne, quote unquote, died was VV or V2 gunned her down, and Jeremiah was nowhere to be seen, despite being personal guard. And then Anya just so happened to be there as Marianne was dying. Marianne just so happens to have a Geass that allows her to transfer her consciousness. This is almost as bad as the scene with Euphemia, as far as just being an atomic bomb of convenience.
I am tying a noose to hang myself as we speak.
But to be fair, it could have been any person, right? Like, okay, as long as there's one person there, she can transfer her mind. Still convenient that she has exactly that power and nothing else. But
she not only had that power, but like it was a little girl that would eventually become like one of the knights as well.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's still not as bad as Lelouch jokingly saying the worst possible thing he could have said.
That's why I said it's almost as bad. It's the Euphemia scene is definitely worse, but this is still like not that much better. Like her Geass just so happens to be one where she could transfer her consciousness. Anya just so happened to be there. Like if VV was constructing this plan, wouldn't he make sure that nobody was in the fucking room? This show makes no
VV
sense.
is such a weird character. I didn't get why he was there or what the fuck he was doing.
Phoebe's just an underwritten character.
Underrated, yes.
Isn't Vivi Charles's big brother?
Yeah, he's his older brother.
That's like the weirdest thing to see Charles, like this hunk of a man with the deepest imaginable voice, suddenly go Oni-chan. Oh no, wait, it's Oni's son because he's younger. But still,
Oni's son.
Weirdest fucking thing.
Oni's son.
So, okay, Acer, go ahead. You wanted to talk about some of the supernatural bullshit?
Episode 15, The Sword of Akasha.
Okay, now, so I'm just going to go on a limb here. I know more about this stuff than the three of you combined, yes?
Fuck you.
No, I'm just asking.
If you read any fucking articles about it, then yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
I don't give a fuck.
By the sole fact that I have done some research into this, I would know more. I would be the most knowledgeable. Right?
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Why don't you guys tell me what you think the operation is, and I'll explain to you what the operation really is.
What operation?
Behind the Sword of Akasha and killing God and all.
They wanted to create a unified consciousness in the whole world where, I don't know, I imagined it as the shapeshifters in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But I have no idea how it's supposed to work or who actually makes the calls.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how it was described. Like, Charles wanted a world without deceit, and this was his solution, was to create this, like, this like Borg type of thing, I guess. I don't know. Like, everyone would meld into a consciousness.
It's called the Ragnarok connection, even though Ragnarok has nothing to do with a unified consciousness. Only
cool.
rebuilding the world
Okay.
by destroying it. Because the unified consciousness thing, that's a Hindu thing, not a Norse thing.
Yeah, like, isn't Ragnarok the end of the world? So isn't
Yeah.
connection the opposite to Ragnarok?
It's the end of the world to create a new world.
The world is cyclical, and some of the Norse gods will survive Ragnarok. And all the women, it's very funny in Norse mythology. As a side, all the Norse women, they survived, and like a couple of gods, like of the men, survived because they just decided, you know what, we're not going to fight in Ragnarok. We want to live. So they were sensible. But okay, so let me explain to you precisely what Charles was going to do. I don't fucking know. Because what you guys said was true. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna connect human consciousness so we can create a world without deceit. But why? Also, like, why would you want this? Why have you created this monolithic, crazy empire to facilitate this?
His motivations are non-existent. We have spent so little time with Charles's character throughout 2 seasons, 50 fucking episodes, and we barely understand Charles's character.
It would have been better, I think, if it were. And again, well, it could be, but it would have been better if it had just been. No, he's just a crazy Darwinist. He really is just about the survival of the fittest. Instead, they sort of pivoted to this weird. No, I'm actually the good guy. Dun dun dun.
The only reason he wanted to do all this was, I think it did say that his family.
He was lied to.
That's right.
His royal family was filled with deceit, killing each other, and he wanted to end the cycle by, for some reason, being the very thing that he hates.
That's
and
right.
He's not really treated that much as a hypocrite because Lelouch never calls him a hypocrite.
Well, but again, okay, so let me draw the connection again to Star Trek Deep Space Nine, where the shapeshifters, they can take in any form and they're individuals, but they can also like meld into one another. And when they do, they basically share all their thoughts and you can't lie to them. And it's just a great feeling. And they don't even feel as individuals anymore. They feel like this conglomerate of experiences and knowledge and all that. And I understand that might be an ideal way to live, but you need to flesh it out way more. Like, why do you want that? And as you said, why does he build this entire empire to do that? Like, what did he need to do to actually get that done?
And so far, it seems the only justification for why he's doing it is because he was lied to. Yeah, he's going to, against everyone's will, force them into this melding consciousness bullshit because he was lied to. How fucking selfish is he? And here's the thing, right? Here's what really gets me about that scene. Is that Lelouch is strongly against this. He's like, no, I don't agree with this.
People should be free.
People should have free will, despite the fact that literally in that episode and episodes after, he just gives people the command to be my slave. What a champion of free will Lelouch is.
To kind of paraphrase him, I don't think we have the energy to discuss which one of them is the bigger hypocrite.
Lelouch actually says that to Suzaku in season 1.
And your own actions don't show signs of hypocrisy or something like that.
We watched that episode trying to figure out his motivation. Like when me and Dan call ended, I spent half an hour trying to work it out in my head what he wanted, and because it's
reading the wiki.
Yeah, in reading the wiki, And it's not only so convoluted and poorly conveyed that I was only able to get the very shallow ideas about what he wants, and even then, his shallow ideas don't really work because multitude of factors. One, Lelouch isn't calling him out for being a hypocrite. He's just simply saying, "Oh, you can't create a world where you can't force a world where everybody's happy," or something like that. I'm like, that's not the point here. Trying to even think about it now, I'm just like, I'm still no closer than I was 3 or 4 weeks ago.
We don't know what this world is going to look like, and Charles, like, he thinks it's an act of kindness, but he hasn't been a kind character at all. It was weirdly idealistic for like a stereotypical Empire villain.
Like, this is a character that has literally said, equality is a lie. And yet here he is, like, he was making it seem like inequality was a good thing, but then in this scenario, wouldn't it make it everyone was literally the same? Doesn't that literally go against what he said?
Yeah, well, he doesn't. When he's giving the propaganda, I don't know if this is properly communicated. He doesn't actually believe that Darwinian stuff. That's just a facade.
But to what end?
To maintain the empire.
Why?
If he wanted to get rid of all this deceit, why didn't he just dismantle the monarchy himself? Like, he has the power to make people forget. Why couldn't he make his entire royal family forget that they were royal people and make them commoners?
Because even then, evil would still exist. Some new evil would materialize. We need to change the fundamentals of human nature. That's the sort of reasoning this show goes with.
What a bunch of nonsense.
Except it doesn't, because at the end, it pretends like everything is fine now, even though the same shit is going to start again.
Yeah, well, the end of the show says that, well, we will gradually get better. Mm-hmm. Do we want to talk about, what more do we have to say about the magic?
It's underdeveloped. It's dumb how Charles and Marianne just fade away.
It's also super weird that C2, she has like a really weird, she's friends with Lelouch's mother, and she's also Lelouch's pseudo-girlfriend. And the scene where Charles takes her coat, doesn't he kiss her?
No, I don't think they kiss. Do they? I don't remember them kissing. I think he kind of like holds her and like as if they were doing like a weird dance or something. And I don't think they kissed.
It would have been weird if they did. What about Schnizel's plan? Do we like Schnizel's plan?
What is Schnizel's plan?
Nuke the whole world? No?
It's not. No, it's to basically, if anybody gets out of line ever, I will nuke you all. Don't screw with me, guys.
No, at the end he decides I'm just going to nuke the half of the world to make them really scared, and then they will fall in line. That's some Naruto shit.
What's the studio that made this show?
Sunrise.
It feels like Sunrise read V for Vendetta, and they were like, oh, a terrorist rises up and takes down a tyrannical empire. That's a cool story. And then at the end, they were like, but we want to do Watchmen. We're like, the state of the world, like, let's do Watchmen, where we're trying to save the world, and we're trying to make a statement on blah, blah, blah. But they don't, like, V for Vendetta doesn't work just because of those elements. You can't just have a guy goes up against the world. You need to have these things too. This needs to make sense. I don't know.
And it's like Schnizel it wasn't really clear what his plan is. And he was mostly portrayed with some kindness. Like he didn't doom every subordinate who failed or something. He was calm, he was friendly, right?
He was a sociopath, though.
He turned into one because because Lelouch became the god emperor of Japan and like subjected the entire population and somehow took over Japan in like 2 days. And so Lelouch is completely irredeemable at that point. But then
Not
Schneider-
Japan, the entire Britannian Empire.
Oh yeah, the entire Britannian Empire, because Charles is dead. And then
Which, by the way,
Schneider is then the rebel who actually has good on his side. But then to go back,
real quick.
no, and then Schneider needs to do the heel turn, where he suddenly, out of the blue, decides, I'm just gonna nuke half the world because I got the weapons. So that he is the villain again.
Oh, that's right.
I just wanted to bring up real quick, as all of this was happening, Nunnally quote unquote dies, and then is revealed after Charles dies that she actually didn't die and is never explained how she survived. It's implied that Schneisel had something to do with it, but
that's why I was so glad when I saw Shirley's dead corpse, because I was like, okay, there's no way they're bringing her back from that. Like, I was kind of thinking Nunnally was going to come back.
Yeah, I don't blame you for thinking that, because there are multiple characters throughout the show that should have died that don't.
That just reappear. Yeah.
Cornelia got gunned down by a machine gun turret. She's suddenly alive. Her knight, her like bodyguard or whatever, Guildford, he was engulfed in that same explosion as Nunnally. You literally see his mech getting evaporated into the fucking explosion. He's still alive.
The metal shell of the mech, it like warps because of the heat.
Yes, and somehow he survives. And now somehow Nunnally survives this explosion, even though like this explosion was huge. This explosion was fucking enormous. And somehow she survived because of Schneisel and through some unexplained method. Like, go fuck yourself.
That scene was okay.
Yeah. I want to just say that when Nunnally, quote unquote, died, I kind of felt nothing. She is a huge like part of Lelouch's conflict, and she is a nothing character. She's as much of a little sister stereotype as you can get.
Yeah.
Also, she's just Euphemia again.
I think it's time to talk about the ending. Zero's Requiem.
No, wait.
What do you
right
guys
before
say?
we do that, scene where Lelouch takes over the Empire. That's such a great scene. Because it makes so much.
Where fucking.
Because it's like
when Suzaku comes from the fucking ceiling unarmed and like just beats the shit out of some dude.
No, I mean when Lelouch is like, "Hey, you jerk-offs, you're gonna be my puppets from now on," and they just are. It took 50 episodes to get there, but at the end, it's like, "Oh, hey, like what would you realistically need to do with this power to accomplish your ends?"
Yeah.
He could have done this in the beginning of the show. He could have gone to Clovis's funeral and been like, "Hey, like it's me and Nunnally. I'm just gonna wheel her here. We're not actually dead. We're coming to honor him. By the way, I'm in control now."
But how did he take over the entire? Like, he needs to take over so many people. How did he do that? How did he?
They were all in the room.
Not
The entire royal
army,
family.
but
But the royal family was. And that they controlled the army, and the generals assumably were too.
Dude, there would be so much resistance.
Yeah, maybe, but it works.
And then remember when he just tells all the UFN leaders, "Hey, come meet up at my school. We're gonna have a talk in my gym."
Not even at the school, at the gymnasium.
Because it's neutral ground.
Hey, Colin, meet me behind the gymnasium at 2 a.m.
It's not a trap, I swear.
What's the most valuable trait in a leader? The ability to destroy the world. It's so.
I lived a lie of living.
Eat my name too was a lie. It wasn't me who was wrong. It was the world.
Oh man, the writer was so in love with the sound of his own voice when he wrote that.
But I think that totally works because Lelouch, like, he was a dramatic teenager. That's what they're like.
But here's the thing, though. Like, everything that he's doing in those scenes is a facade. It's all part of his plan. His Zero's Requiem plan, which is nonsense.
You think?
It is complete nonsense.
Okay, explain why.
When Lelouch takes over, right? And he's basically, that's it. He killed Charles. He's leader of Britannia now, right? So the idea behind Zero's Requiem is that all of the world's hatred supposedly is being targeted at him. He has himself die, and then that somehow leads to world peace for some reason.
Because there will be no more enemies for the people. Like there will be no more antagonists.
That's not how it works.
What are you?
That's not how the real world works.
What are you talking about? I don't. What?
Here's the thing though with that ending that always gets me, and I've always gotten such a shitty response. Lelouch throughout 50 fucking episodes has been built up as this genius. He has been built up as someone that is so smart. Are you literally going to sit there and tell me that he couldn't come up with a better plan than to kill himself?
Well, Daniel, he didn't technically die.
Yeah, he did. He is dead.
He could have staged his...
Here's the thing though, he didn't need to do any of that. What he could have done is once he was the Britannian emperor, he could have just dismantled the monarchy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Even if
he already had all the power. What was the point of the rest of this
That's
fucking
so
Zero's
true.
Requiem nonsense?
He needed to take down Schneisel.
Yeah, I mean, he would have gotten resistance from Schneisel, but I'm pretty sure he could have just pretended to be some, benevolent emperor, and then had to have a meeting with Schneisel. He asked him right then and there, and not have to drag this out into a war.
But
Yeah, he could
already
have.
beat Schneisel.
At that point, no, not at that point.
Yeah.
No, he took them all
You're talking about
hostage.
the end.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, but he would have had to make himself the enemy because no, he wouldn't have. Not really. He could have.
So, like, I mean, are we really going to say that Schneisel would be so unreasonable that, like, Lelouch couldn't just talk to him and be like, hey, this is what we want, this is what I want to do. And you think Schneisel would really just be like, no, fuck that, I'm going to nuke the world? Oh, wait, I guess that's what he did too.
Yeah, well, the point is, Lelouch could have been the benevolent guy and gotten the world together. I'm not going to dismantle the monarchy just today. We're going to have a gradual transition because bad things happen when we create such a big power vacuum immediately. We're gradually going to scale down the emperor, going to give him more autonomy to people, and these democratic institutions are going to be implemented. And then Schneisel has to appear and go against that, at which point Lelouch could have gone, okay, well, I'm going to take out Schneisel, and then we'll continue on with this process.
See, the problem is Schneisel's character is so underwritten that it's hard to even know how he would actually react to any of this stuff. So it, like, I think that's where we're struggling, because it's like, what the fuck is his character? We don't know.
His character is...
I have a theory about why this whole Zero Requiem arc even exists. Whenever channel this aired on, or NHK regulations don't allow for a 20-episode anime. You have to be 25. Like, you gotta be 25, 24, anywhere under, it's like, no, that's against regulations. No.
Or didn't they just realize that Lelouch is a complete asshole and try to force in some redemption arc?
Yeah, no, I'm just being cynical.
Oh, okay.
Can I ask you? Can I ask a question though? When when the music starts playing and Sasako appears in Zero's costume and he stabs him, and Lelouch falls down the stairs and he's dying there, and his sister's watching him. Did you guys feel anything?
Happy?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't feel anything when Lelouch died in front of his sister.
And she's like, "What are you doing? You can't leave me."
I'm like,
I knew that people like the ending, and I was kind of just watching it, not sure what to think.
on a shallow level, I could see why people would like the ending, because it's a tragic ending where the hero dies, his sister is all alone now, or his sister has lost her brother. It's It's tragic and on a very soap opera-ish level, but
And then it kind of pretends like, oh, this was his plan all along. He was a good guy all along.
it's a soap opera.
But yeah, the more you think about it, he could have done so many other things. He could have just vanished, taken over Schneisel, and then give him the command to actually dismantle the Empire. Didn't even need to be open.
Like, yeah, let's even say that Schneisel would have been a problem. Well, he took care of Schneisel. Why kill himself? Why he has all the power in the world. If he doesn't like how the world is, he was in the perfect position to fix it. And he didn't. He just killed himself for no reason.
Also, it's not really clear what happens after his death. Like you see a few images.
Everything's fine.
That's why we need to watch the movie.
No, it just shows that, like, oh, don't you see? Valletta and Ogi are married now, and they have a baby.
And then suddenly Schneisel is there, happy, and he's like conducting empire business. What the fuck? He was gonna nuke the world.
The world should be in shambles. Like, realistically speaking, the whole world was taken over by Lelouch. That person is gone. Wouldn't that mean that the whole infrastructure would just fall apart because the guy in charge is gone?
Yeah, wouldn't there be opportunist factions grasping for power, creating a lot of sub factions, sub countries that are horribly corrupted in themselves?
Also, he didn't really take over the nations of the UFN. He just captured the leaders. Like, you think they don't have vice chancellors or whatever?
No, he did, because he got the Flayas. So he forced all of their militaries to surrender to him under threat of just being
Schneisel has the Flayas.
Yeah, but
Schneisel shoots them all.
No,
at Lelouch.
No, he doesn't. Not all of them. Lelouch got the at the end of the show, remember, he's standing there on the map. Attention, everybody! I have the Flayas now, and Schneisel has surrendered to me. Now no one is in a position to blah 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 combat me, and you will all have to obey, or you'll be annihilated.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
I guess I'm not convinced that the Flayas are that.
Well,
they're not even as strong as an atomic bomb.
Yeah, well, they are.
No, there's no fallout. There's no horrible.
They literally, Tokyo disappeared. It was just a hole in the ground.
It's a nuke minus the radiation that could destroy the environment.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And it's also faster.
Is the real problem.
I would imagine.
Also, how many players does he have? How many cities are there in the world? How much space is there on the planet?
I don't think it matters. I think even if he just has 1,000, that's enough. The Soviet Union were a problem. They actually had 7,000 nukes, but that is enough. You don't need a lot. One of these could kill 1 million people. Our nation is gonna start giving up pretty quickly.
Didn't Schneisel shoot Flayas at Lelouch?
Yeah. But he deactivated it.
Did he shoot only one?
Yes. Only shot one.
Oh yeah, and then Nina comes in we're gonna program in environmental data.
Yeah.
And
he'll only have 0.017 seconds.
Yeah.
And then he'll also have to Suzaku will have to stab it with a spear.
Yeah, I guess, okay. So he has the most powerful weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he could have done at the end. He could have said, okay, I'm gonna get rid of all these weapons and now we're equal.
Yeah, he didn't even need to arrest the UFN. Like I've said, he could have just been look, we'll gradually democratize, because Schneisel has to reveal himself, and then Lelouch goes, I'm not going to surrender to this lunatic. I'm actually going to take him down. Now that I have, let's dismantle these weapons, and let's continue on with the process. I don't know. Like I said earlier, I felt something when she was crying over his body. It may have just been the presentation, because the music was really good. It was blood everywhere.
if you were invested in the characters, then the ending works on an emotional level. But like, speaking, for Dom here, I think it's safe to say we didn't care about the characters. We didn't like them, so we felt nothing.
I wasn't like crying or anything. I was just like, I watched it, and then all of a sudden I felt, I was like, oh, what? I felt something for this.
I think we should also talk about, like, we mentioned how we don't really buy why people are attracted to Lelouch, but we should talk about like why Lelouch just doesn't work as a character and why he seems to shift between anti-hero, anti-villain, villain protagonist, or just flat out hero on a dime whenever the plot calls for it. It seems.
I think it's also because he has no grand plan aside from a vague "I'm going to free Japan and get my revenge on the Brits." But he is mostly reactionary.
The thing is, it's not even like he's actually invested in the plight of the Japanese people. He's just using it as a means to an end. He's just using it as a way to get back at his dad.
What did you guys like about the show?
Visuals, music, voice acting.
Music is pretty good.
Yeah, voice acting. The mech designs are pretty good.
The mech fights were actually pretty cool. I enjoyed them.
I enjoyed seeing Mount Fuji with this massive mining. How much Britannia has screwed the Japanese people of their culture. That was a good scene.
I liked a couple of characters. I liked the journalist turned rebel, D-Tart.
Yeah.
Bogan's boyfriend.
I liked Ogi, even though he's not a deep character. He's just mostly just a nice dude, but he's consistent.
What about Toto? I really like him.
I like him in theory, but he's shafted into being just a random thug. Same with was it not Quan Chi? What's his name? Shinkai. Yeah. Like these are these major characters. They built up and they're just thugs and Zero's on them now.
Yeah, it's kind of like they get folded into the cast, and they're kind of forgotten about.
See, I didn't think the music was that great. It was okay. I don't like mech fights, so I didn't even get that out of the show. At most, it just went along, and I didn't hate it.
What about the I also liked in the beginning where this goes again to what I said earlier about V for Vendetta. When Zero first appears, all these characters suddenly just spring to life, like D-Tart. All of a sudden, his mundane existence has meaning. That I thought was kind of cool to see, even though it was only there for 2 episodes.
I mean, D-Tart is great. Euphemia is good. Charles, I love his voice acting.
I feel kind of bad for all the people listening to this, because all the people that love Code Geass tuned out like 20 minutes in. And now's when we're finally saying, like, oh yeah, there's some good stuff in this show.
That's
for the record,
very faint praise.
If you're gonna listen to this and complain about our thinking about this, because every time Daniel tweets about Code Geass, people get on his back. I like the show. Don't complain to me. You can complain to them.
Okay, but your love of the show is insincere as fuck.
No, it's very. I would watch it a 3rd time.
Here's the thing. You sincerely love how stupid it is.
Yeah, but not like that's not the extent of it. There is enough good things in there for me to say that is genuinely a show worth watching.
See, that's actually one of the things that I found frustrating about Code Geass is that there were times where I was like, that was good. Like, there were moments where I was like, that was a good idea, or that was executed well. But then it's just buried under so much bullshit that it didn't even matter.
I would say this. What I like about the show is the setup itself. I think this show would be really good if they got rid of the supernatural shit, if they got rid of the high school, if there was just Lelouch and his plan to take over the empire, and for some reason he gets this power to command individual people. And then he has to outsmart them, take over the right people at the right time, give them the right commands. That would be a show I would love watching.
Yeah, I think they focus way too much on the supernatural stuff. It's kind of like what Hitchcock says. It's okay to have one thing in your story that's not explained.
That's my thing.
You know, like, they didn't have to explain the Geass. They could have just, like, you know...
He just has it
You
now.
know, did some bullshit, give him the Geass, and then it's an excuse to have the rest of the story happen.
And you sprinkle some lines throughout the show. It's like, oh, this made, like, you create like a very you sparsely parse out some lore. Like, hey, C2, where does this power come from? Oh, don't worry about it.
Basically, what I want this show to be is Legend of the Galactic Heroes, but with the Geass power.
What's that? That's like a show from the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never watch it.
It's considered the holy grail of anime. A lot of people consider it the best.
Of political anime, definitely.
It's like considered one of the greatest anime ever made.
I won't watch it because it's old.
Dude, it's even I took a long time to get through that. It is glacial, and it has 110 episodes.
Oh my god! That's twice as long as Code Geass.
But it's one of the few shows that gets politics and playing the long game, manipulating people, being wary of your images that you show to the common masses and all.
Maybe I will watch that then. That sounds a lot more interesting than Monster.
What is your beef with Monster?
I have memories of trying to watch that show and just dying on the inside. It was so boring. He spent like 3 episodes trying to buy a gun. It's like, dude.
He did not.
Man,
no, he did
we're
not.
gonna watch it. Shut up. You will watch it.
He did not spend 3 episodes buying a gun. You're making that up.
No,
shut up.
He did.
No, he didn't.
He did.
It didn't take 3 episodes. At most, that was 1 episode. That was a single episode about him getting the gun and training for it, and that was it.
You know what? It probably was, but it was like a 60-minute episode special, so it felt like 3 episodes.
No, it wasn't. It was not a 60-minute special. Shut up.
Anyway, I think we're done.
How Tenma got his gun.
Oh, wait. There is one thing we didn't mention, like why there's just so much of these elements thrown together, all this fan service, harem stuff, and we have to talk about that. This is a show that's trying to aim for every demographic possible.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels like that.
At first, I would have said that it was because this is a show that was made by like people in suits, and they were just like, this is what the charts say. The kids fucking love the mechs. The kids fucking love the Death Note. Put that shit in the show.
Who's this character?
The guys in the suits.
The kids love pizza. Put pizza in the show.
Get fucking Pizza Hut in the fucking show.
I don't know if you're doing
but
Ralph the Movie Maker or...
No, I'm not doing Ralph.
Just a sleazy movie.
But rewatching the show, I actually feel more strongly that it comes more from the mindset of like a dumb teenager that just wants to smash together all of his favorite things. He's just like, I love mechs. Put that in there. I love big titties. Get that in there. But it feels kind of like more of a misguided, like, oh, I like all these things. All these things are cool. I'm going to throw all of these things that I like in the show and not really taking into consideration how well it actually coalesces.
Wasn't that also the problem with the show? The director had some different vision originally.
I remember reading something that, like, a lot of the show was compromised. I'm not sure how, but, like, apparently, he said, through his own words, he says that, like, the show was a series of didn't go as planned. So, who knows? Who knows what the original idea was supposed to be and how reflective that is in the final product. But it is what it is, and what it is shit.
Wait a minute, that's your conclusion? After everything we just said, that's what you're going with?
Yeah.
Wow.
This probably won't mean much coming from me, who's only watched a handful of anime and anime series, but this is the worst anime I've had to watch. This is one of the worst acclaimed things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Whoa. One of the worst things that people are just willing to die on a hill for, to defend.
Yeah, That's actually a good one, and I
There's
guess we
worse.
should. This is not the worst thing ever made, but
No.
this is it is interesting that so many people really want to believe that this show holds up, that it is this great thing. And I've said this numerous times, but I think that it is because it was a transitionary anime for a lot of people who had grown up watching like Dragon Ball, and this was their first this was the first quote unquote smart anime they ever watched. Something that was a bit more than just combat, a bit more than just like it had pretensions of being a bit more lofty than your battle shonen or whatever, and it got people into smarter shows, and people want to preserve it as that great thing that took them to that wonderful land. But watch the show again.
I don't want to sound condescending to anyone. If you disagreed with everything we said in this and you still think the show's great, like, more power to you, honestly. Like, I mean that sincerely. I'm not trying to talk down to anyone. I'm not trying to make it seem like anyone is dumb for liking this show. If you genuinely just disagree and you think this is a great show, that's fine. There's cool. I don't have any problems with that. Honestly, people shouldn't be looked down on or made fun of just for liking something and genuinely thinking it's good. Even if we think it's a pile of dog shit, like, whatever. It's just our opinion. It's just our opinion. I kind of wish I said this earlier in the podcast, but again, it's all opinions. It's all subjective. I hope this didn't hurt anyone's feelings, because that wasn't our intention. We're just, shooting the shit about it.
I don't really care if people really like this show. Like, I'm in an area of just apathy towards this show, towards what people think of it. I'm like, I just want to leave this thing behind and never think of it again.
Well, you'll have to come back when we watch the
problem is the movie is based on the recap series that makes a lot of retcons, and I hear one of the retcons is that Shirley lives.
Yes. That's not actually a problem.
That's not a good development.
That's not actually a problem, though.
Wait, watch the recaps too.
Yeah.
No. Fuck that. Not doing that.
I'd rather
get out of here.
I'd rather watch Akito the Exiled, because I hear even people who hate the show like Akito the Exiled.
Wait, what are the recaps? What are we talking about?
There's two movies that recap the series but make retcons.
Okay, and there's a movie coming out?
No, it already came out.
Yes.
Oh.
But
technically it already came out, but you
it came out in cinemas, and there's 10 more years of Code Geass.
Fuck this show. I'm done. Does anyone have any final words? Dom, any lasting things to say?
Thanks for taking me on this odyssey, but also fuck you very much. But no. Like, I appreciate this. Even something bad, like, I'm glad that we watched something that gave us something to discuss, because there's nothing, to me, what is worse than horribly bad is painfully middle of the road, where you're given nothing to work with, even on a positive or negative front. At least we experienced this and got a lot out of it. Something fun, constructive, and humbling.
Yeah.
I agree. Boken, what are your final words?
Well, as always, I'm glad I now have the reference point of what Code Geass is, and if people bring it up again, I will know what they were talking about. And also, no, really, that is important to me. At least a little bit. And also, I'm looking forward to Monster, which we will watch together. Don't know when we'll be done, but that will be the next big project.
That'll be the next spoiler cast.
Yeah.
A few months down the road.
Okay, Acer, what are your final words?
Look, we all had fun with it, and I don't know if we will be watching Monsters. We'll see.
We already agreed to it. You can't back out.
I didn't expect you to watch Code Geass.
Shoveled your own grave.
Yeah. What did you think, Daniel? Any final words?
Code Geass is one of the worst shows I've ever seen. I'm glad it's over. It's actually worse than what I remembered. It's actually a lot worse than I remembered. I'm actually in shock of how bad this show is, and I actively resent myself for ever thinking that it was any good when I first saw it. That being said, I think it was really good to watch it again, just for the simple fact that, like, for a while I felt kind of bad for shitting on the show, even though, like, I didn't remember it that well. And at least now I'm like, okay, when I say it's a bad show, I can more definitively back up what I'm saying, rather than just going like, I remember, vaguely some things that may have been bad. Now I can be like, well, no, I I can pretty definitively go, this is wrong, or I didn't like this, or I thought this was bad. So there's that at least. Never going to watch it again for the rest of my life, though. Fuck that. I refuse. And with that, we finally come to the end of this spoiler cast. If you are a fan of Code Geass and you actually sat through this, I'm sorry that you had to put up with this, but you're a trooper for doing so.
Thanks.
And, I just hope that everyone enjoyed this. I know it's not fun to hear people just shit all over something that you like, but that doesn't mean you should like it any less. Don't let our cynical shithead opinions, affect your opinion of the show. If you want to keep liking it, more power to you. And with that, this is Daniel with Dom, Acer, and Boken. We'll see you all again next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See y'all next time.
See to you all next time.